Alright, you and I are about to meet the school's top genius, a kid who chooses books over popularity every single day. But even for the guys who only study, there are girls watching. This one can't keep her eyes off the president. One morning, this perfect student who never gets into trouble shows up to class, looking like he just survived a war. The whole school is in shock. Nobody could have imagined why. Jay is a genius who could literally rank first in the entire country. He always follows the rules. But trust me, everything is about to flip on its head. The teacher introduces a new transfer student from the United States. She is the granddaughter of the school principal. So the teacher tells everyone they better be on their best behavior. The second the blonde girl spots Jay, she doesn't hold back. She walks up and kisses him right in front of everyone. That one kiss shatters the whole room, especially for the girl who secretly has feelings for him. Look at this. Even the principal is creepily watching his granddaughter's first day of school through the hallway window. Our main character has no idea what is happening. He has never met this girl before, but Shel doesn't care. She just looks at the guy sitting next to him and demands his seat. Trust me. You'll see Jay accept a request he simply couldn't refuse. Soon, random students were mobbing Jay, demanding to know since when he had such a 10 out of 10 girlfriend. Only one girl looked miserable. To understand why, we have to rewind a few days and meet our main character, Jay. He lives right by the school but insists on riding his beat-up bike because, honestly, school is just way too boring. He needs that morning adrenaline rush. On these streets, every single thing is just another obstacle to overcome. Jay blasts through the city like he's auditioning for a Red Bull sponsorship, terrifying construction workers while random couples making out jump back in pure shock. Watch closely, Jay shows zero fear on a suicide slope where even walking is a death wish. He guns it at max speed, pulling off insane maneuvers just to bring that bike to a screeching halt. The school elite saw the whole thing, and none of them were happy to see someone aura farming way harder than them. While some were impressed, others planned on teaching him a lesson. Another day starts, and everyone around Jay is already complaining about life. Jay stays locked in on his books, completely tuning out the world around him. While Jay feels unmotivated, Mia is secretly watching him from nearby. Let's pause for a second. While her friend asks about studying for the exams, Mia is clearly lost in her thoughts. Mia just smiles, saying she's only doing a little studying here and there. Her friend warns her to focus up unless she wants to fail, though she thinks Mia should balance studying with a social life. To Mia, the student council president seemed like a total nerd with no life outside of his textbooks. But whenever people talk trash, Mia is the first to defend him. She honestly has nothing but praise for the guy. In her world, Jay is just incredible. That's the exact moment her friend realizes Mia is head over heels for him. Then there's Mew, the guy in the black jacket with red hair. Every girl in class is absolutely obsessed with him. Yuna points out how his arrival gets everyone hyped up, but Mu immediately shuts her down by calling her a total grandma. Yuna is definitely not laughing. It gets even worse when Mu sticks his tongue out and drops another unnecessary insult. She's furious. And trust me, you and I are about to see her unleash every insult in the book. You and I are back in the chaos where even a furious Yuna looks like a total model. Dom Kang could not help but admire every single little movement Yuna made. Minu just thought his sister was a total nightmare and tried to sneak away. Meanwhile, Jay was busy ignoring everyone and focusing on his books. Before making his grand escape from his sister, Minu decided to say hello to Jay. Jay hit him with a total cold shoulder, but Minu would not take the hint. Finally, Jay snapped that he was busy and told him to get to the point. Minu seized the opening and invited Jay to join their crew right then and there. He actually grabbed Jay's attention for a second, praising that insane downhill move Jay pulled off earlier. Mew mentioned the whole team was stunned by how Jay cleared that slope with a single skid. They were even more shocked to find out the legendary rider was actually the student council president. Mew explained he was only there to recruit him, but Jay went right back to ignoring him completely. Mew kept trying to talk to him, making Yuna wonder if these two were secretly friends or something. Mia was just as curious, dying to know what they were actually whispering about over there. Jay was clearly over it and just wanted the noise to stop. Minu could not believe someone could be this uninterested. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a story where high school drama meets the high-stakes world of street racing. Even though Jay acts like he doesn't care, this conversation is actually starting to spark some real interest. Just hearing about bikes takes him back to when he was 13 and got his very first one. His uncle gifted it to him, reminding him that while grades matter, you've got to get outside and breathe some fresh air sometimes. He promised they'd go on trips once Jay got better. Fast forward to now, and school is finally letting out for the day. Meanwhile, friends Yuna and Mia are venting about how exhausting it is being a teenager. Yuna expected her youth to be some grand romance, but instead, it just feels like the same old routine. Mia tells her to quit being so gloomy, adventures are coming. Yuna just wants the fun to start already. Mia stays positive, promising her they'll make up for all the boredom once the holidays finally arrive. Out of nowhere, Dom Kang pops up, asking Yuna if she wants to catch a zombie flick. Screaming in shock, Yuna tells him to pipe down before delivering a little physical punishment. She already warned him not to sneak up like a stalker. After the punishment, Dom realizes that Yuna actually knows how to throw a mean punch. He doesn't give up, chasing after her to brag about his massive 90-inch LED television. Back in class, Jay watches everyone leave while quietly packing his gear into his bag. Just as he's about to head out, Mu appears again, specifically waiting for a gap in Jay's studying. He just wants one last chance to see if Jay is really going to turn down the team. Mu mentions there is a massive race tonight, and a certain rival is looking to challenge Jay. Jay just stares him down, coldly stating he hasn't even started riding yet. He tells Mu to stop bothering him and go play with his friends. But Mu isn't backing off, dropping the name of a guy called TJ Kin. Now watch this. Mu tells Jay that TJ was calling his bike a piece of junk. TJ says he hates people who obsess over high-end bike features. He has watched Jay riding around for a long time now and is officially challenging him to a race to settle things. The meeting is set for Green Park tonight. Jay doesn't say a word, but you can tell those insults about his bike really hit a nerve. Night falls, and the park is buzzing. It's a popular spot where dozens of cyclists are already performing tricks and looking to relax. Riders are everywhere, showing the crowd that bikes are for way more than just pedaling around. The Zephus team's stunts are stealing the show. Mu is locked in until June decides to pull a prank. June shocks him by pressing a freezing cold energy drink against his face. Laughing, June tells him to chill out. Mu takes the drink, still convinced that Jay will actually show. Minu thinks they should just wait and see. June suggests they just practice racing if Jay flakes. June asks why Minu is so fixated on this one guy. Minu tells him to keep it down so nobody misinterprets. June realizes you don't really need a deep reason to ride with someone. You and I both know Jay is a total natural, so why would he keep riding solo instead of joining a team? Mu and June are waiting when a group approaches. They start asking where the school snob is, mocking Jay for being late. Mu just asks for more time. One guy claims Jay is just running a war, but Mu stays confident. Jay isn't the type to back down. Mu suggests they do a quick warm-up lap while they wait. They laugh at Mu because of his bad leg, but then Jay arrives. Everyone starts whispering as they remember some of Jay's legendary accomplishments. Seeing him, Mu finally speaks up. He says it's a shame because he wanted to race TJ's carbon bike, but maybe they'll get another chance later. TJ asks if this is really the guy. He steps up and offers a handshake, saying he honestly thought Jay was too scared to show up. In classic Jay fashion, he completely ignores the hand. TJ wonders if this kid has a problem. Mu walks over, admitting he was starting to think Jay wasn't going to make it. Jay cuts the small talk, telling them to get started because he's busy. June steps up to explain exactly how this race is going to work. June waves from a distance, introducing himself as a student from Sunny School. June Lee introduces himself as a third year, and trust me, you and I won't want to miss what happens next. Alright, you and I are about to see Jay jump into a high-stakes bike race after Jack Joe explains the basics. It is a simple one-on-one showdown. First person back to the start wins, and since Jay knows the route, the pressure is on. Safety spotters are stationed at every turn to ensure the race stays safe and on track. Mu points out Jay's opponent, that arrogant guy nearby, TJ. Jay gives Mu a cold shoulder, warning him not to ask about the team later. June hands him a helmet, stressing his safety. While checking the bike, Mu realizes Jay stripped the brakes off, likely to make the frame much lighter. TJ starts trash-talking, daring Jay to keep up while riding that piece of junk. Mu tells TJ to stop boasting. Irritated, TJ snaps back, asking why Mu is always showing off. An announcement tells the group the race will be filmed. The setup is simple. Once the gear is released and hits the ground, they start pedaling. Gripping the gear with his fingers, the announcer tells them to focus. Then, he lets it drop slowly to the ground. The moment that gear touches the pavement, they surge forward. The race is on. TJ takes an early lead, thanks to his lighter bike. June knows the real race begins once they start pedaling harder and accelerating. June scrambles for the shot while TJ keeps mocking Jay, calling his bike a pile of trash. TJ glances back, telling Jay to enjoy the view or try to pass him. Now, pay attention here. Jay uses those insults as fuel to push his bike even harder. Looking back, TJ realizes Jay is gaining quickly, and this won't be easy. Jay closes the gap fast, forcing TJ to kick his speed into overdrive. A sharp curve is coming up. TJ decides to toss some cones to mess with his rival's line. Cones are nothing to Jay. He dodges obstacles daily. June sees the trick and calls TJ out. The cone makes Jay lose his balance. While filming, June screams for Jay to watch out. A car is dead ahead, and a crash looks unavoidable. Jay's instincts are insane. He uses the car as a ramp for momentum. He pulls a stunt midair, leaving TJ furious that his plan backfired. June films the whole scene and knows the footage will be incredible. After recovering from that small incident, Jay just keeps pedaling and gaining speed. With the danger gone, June finally breathes a sigh of relief. He yells at TJ to stop being reckless. TJ sarcastically apologizes, claiming his foot just slipped off. Jay is bolder than TJ expected. June keeps the camera rolling, watching for TJ's next dirty move. You saw that too, right? That 360 maneuver was absolutely phenomenal. The guy's a beast. June wishes the whole class could see this. Jay is now right on TJ's tail. In moments, they're side by side, and Jay just wants to finish this joke of a race. TJ assumes Jay is only talking to throw him off. A sharp turn appears, and TJ is already plotting his next move. He thinks he can win in the turn after spotting a weakness. Instead of slowing down, TJ accelerates even more. But Jay has a completely different perspective on cycling, taking that sharp turn with spectacular proficiency. Now, TJ has a front row seat to Jay's unbelievable cycling maneuvers. He watches a perfect drift happen right in front of him. Jay exits the curve ahead. TJ is fuming with impatience. Meanwhile, Jay is just cruising with total ease, embracing the moment and the thrill of the race. June is losing it. He never imagined seeing a drift on a curve like that. June has no clue where Jay could have learned to ride with such incredible skill. Jay rides that old bike as if it's an extension of his own body. Meanwhile, TJ is stuck behind him, seething with rage at his inability to close the distance. His expensive carbon bike is actually losing to a piece of junk. While TJ fumes, Jay looks back and waves. He tells TJ that this is his view now. This sends TJ into a frenzy. He starts pedaling like a madman, swearing that it isn't over and he will catch up soon. TJ vows to catch up soon. Looking back, Jay calmly tells him that studying won't be necessary. His goal is to finish in 4 minutes flat. Jay knows TJ isn't giving up yet, but he doesn't care. Honestly, Jay just hates everyone at his school and considers them all to be a complete group of fools. As the gap grows, let's see how far Jay can actually go. Alright, let's watch Jay glide while TJ struggles just to keep pace. TJ is fuming. He swears he won't let Jay win this easily and vows to take the lead on the final hill. But for Jay, this is nothing. He's already pulled off technical moves that leave the competition behind. June is trailing behind, filming the madness, screaming for them to slow down before the steep drop-off. There is a massive fence right at the bottom. June is terrified someone is going to end up in the hospital today. Neither rider has any intention of hitting the brakes, no matter how much June keeps shouting from the back. Jay shows off his insane skills, flying down the hill without even grazing that dangerous fence. He kills his speed just enough, using the barrier to pivot forward before pedaling away like it was nothing. But behind him, it is pure chaos. TJ is coming in way too hot. Steep hill, metal fence, pay attention. This is about to get ugly. He slams on the brakes, but it is too late. There is no way he is avoiding that collision now. Impact. TJ smashes into the fence as his bike goes flying, sending him tumbling onto the hard ground. June pulls up and sees the wreck. Up ahead, Jay looks back, realizes what happened, and immediately turns around to help. Once he sees TJ is completely done, Jay finally slows his pace. With that classic cold stare, Jay calls him a loser before casually riding off. While June checks on him, a battered TJ struggles to get up from the ground. Laying in the dirt, the cuts sting, but his shattered ego definitely hurts way more. At the finish line, the crowd is just killing time. Moo is busy entertaining himself with some bike stunts and obstacles. Someone yells that the riders are back. Mew gets hyped because that was fast, and he even managed to break his own personal record too. Word spreads fast. The sunny cyclist took first place, which means TJ actually lost the race. TJ's crew can't believe it. They're shocked, confused, and starting to get worried since their leader hasn't shown up. Mew thinks all that hype around TJ was just hot air. Finally, the guy got put in his place. Stick with me, because Mew knows it is never about the bike, it's the rider. He needs to see June's footage immediately. Jay looks at Mew and tells him to remember their pre-race deal. He rips off his helmet and tosses it over. Pulling up his hood, Jay warns Mew to stop bothering him at school with all those annoying race challenges. Jay walks past the crowd and heads for home. Everyone is left thinking the guy is absolutely ice cold. Mew is dying to know what went down. The second he sees his friend, he's blindsided by the news and starts asking every little detail about what happened. Mew realizes Jay is actually carrying TJ and demanding a first aid kit right now. People are asking what happened, telling them to go to the hospital. TJ is fuming, unable to handle this much humiliation. Even while bleeding, TJ stays arrogant. He's demanding they bring him the person who caused his accident right this second. Back at the house, Jay finds it quiet. His mom is already gone for her late shift at work. His brother, Joe, starts nagging him immediately. He suspects Jay was out messing around on that bike again. Jay stays silent, just kicking off his shoes. His brother won't stop lecturing him about university entrance exams and how biking with friends is just a total distraction. But Jay's entire mood flips the second he hears the television. Kitty hour is starting. Jay is so pumped for his favorite cartoon that he sprints over, accidentally smashing his toe right on the corner of the wall. He's rolling on the floor in agony, but the pain fades the second the anime theme song starts playing. Slowly, his gloomy face lights up with total fascination for the show. He acts tough outside, but Jay is secretly obsessed whenever a cat-themed anime comes on the screen. Keijo heads for a shower to wash off the sweat. While the water runs, he can't stop thinking about those intense moments and highlights from the race. Flashes of the high-speed chase replay in his mind. Keijo is feeling something strange he has never felt before. Next morning, Jay is ready for school, but when he checks his tires, he sees they're totally shredded from the race. This is a problem. While he's staring at the damage, his brother comes out and starts watching him closely. Keijo asks what's up with the bike, and if Jay really thinks he's riding that wreck to class. Seeing him prep for the commute, Keijo decides his brother is officially obsessed with 2 wheels. Jay ignores the comment about wasting energy. Keijo insists a student shouldn't be exhausting themselves before the first bell even rings in the morning. All geared up and ready to go, Jay just gives a simple goodbye. And trust me, that's where we leave it. Jay's brother is left, standing there all serious until a tiny, spotted cat suddenly appears and scares him half to death. KJ had chased that cat before, and in this moment, you and I can see he has that urge again. Meanwhile, Mia is sprinting because she almost missed her bus today. While she is crammed into a hot, overheated bus with dozens of people and surrounded by a sea of terrible traffic, Jay is simply cycling along, enjoying the cool, fresh morning breeze on his face. Inside the bus, everyone is complaining about the chaotic morning traffic. Mia looks around, feeling totally disconnected from the guys chatting nearby. Suddenly, she spots something that makes her blush. Her crush is riding right past her on his bike. Seeing him cycle to school makes her instantly forget how miserable this bus ride actually is. Soon, even the guys notice the bike is faster. They realize they might need a faster, more comfortable ride themselves. Meanwhile, stuck in a luxury car, a young man is grumbling about the gridlock. His driver can only do so much, slowly crawling forward toward the school gates. But watch this, when he sees a cyclist who will clearly beat him to school, he tells his driver he would rather bike than sit there. As Jay pedals on, the school principal, a fellow cycling enthusiast, pulls up right next to him. Jay spots the principal, who mentions that biking is great morning exercise. Jay thinks it is totally normal for him to ride to school. This principal is a well-built man who always commutes to work on his bike. Jay realizes he needs to be careful, since cyclists like them are not always welcome on the road. Sidewalks and roads are unsafe, and sadly, even the designated bike lanes do not offer much protection. With a smile, the principal tells Jay to set the talk aside and pick up the pace. Jay laughs, noting the principal and student council president cannot be late. At the school entrance, there is a major commotion as students are stopped. A second-year student is being singled out for his flashy behavior and lack of a uniform. He tries to sneak inside but gets stopped because of his unusual, bright hair color. The staff confronts him, asking if he accidentally dumped orange juice all over his head. He is also missing his badge and backpack, claiming he left them at school. That was definitely not the answer they wanted. When Jay and the principal arrive, they see all this chaos unfolding so early in the morning. The principal asks what is going on, and the staff says they are just enforcing the code. You and I see the principal handles it well, noting these attractive students are not starting the day off right. He wants to protect the school image and make sure students are more mindful of how they dress. All of them put on innocent faces and promise to keep up a good appearance from now on. Soon, they run off like a bunch of mischievous children. However, the handsome orange-haired student stops when he sees some beautiful girls entering the scene. He wonders where they came from. Being small and cute, he catches their eye, and they invite him to meet up during lunch. The principal just watches, noting that the boy still has that youthful, charming vibe. The janitor reminds him about his morning lecture. Inside the class, students are chatting or trying to catch some sleep. Yuna shows Mia her phone, displaying a photo of the principal. The photo is material for the lecture, and he certainly has style. Yuna notices Mia staring intensely at someone and asks why she is doing that right now. Mia is just observing the fact that Jay came to school on a bike today. Yuna teases her about being in love. Meanwhile, her admirer, the guy with the band-aid mustache, calls for her. She playfully tosses a book at his head, telling him not to shout behind her like that. He thinks it is her way of liking him. While the class is chaotic, Jay stays in his corner reading. Some guys are talking about an epic bicycle race video they just found online. Even the non-bike fans are into the video as Mew passes by. Jay saw the race video June recorded. The girls near Mew want to know how he knows the student council president. Mia is a brave girl, always focused during class. Meanwhile, a boy who likes her is fast asleep. Everyone is bored, except for the dreamers who are busy imagining Yuna scolding them in their sleep. Trust me, we are all watching to see if he finally notices her looking at him. Suddenly, he looks back, but his face remains totally indifferent. Alright, stick with me, you and I are about to see what happens when a legend hits his limit. Jay was just staring at the clouds when everyone noticed him getting ready to ride again. Unable to hold back, Dom Kang really wanted a turn on the bike, so he tapped Jay's shoulder and asked for a ride. Jay completely ignored the guy, leaving Dom Kang standing there with no choice but to watch him ride off. Jade walked up and told Dom Kang he wasn't touching that bike, since he'd probably just break it. Suddenly, the sound of Yuna's voice nearby finally calmed Dom down. Grinning with pure confidence, Dom Kang asked Yuna if she noticed how absolutely radiant and handsome his skin looked today. Yuna just sighed, telling him his face was only oily because he'd been face down on a desk throughout the entire class. Dom Kang kept pushing, telling Yuna to stop pretending she didn't like him since he caught her staring while he was asleep. That's when Yuna playfully kicked the back of his leg and told him to please shut up for once. On his way home, Jay heard a weird sound coming from his tires. He stopped to check and realized he finally had a flat. Right on cue, TJ and his crew rolled up, asking if Jay needed some help fixing that total piece of junk. Jay stared at TJ's glasses and weird face, barely recognizing him, and simply asked if they had met before. Dom Kang was strolling along, feeling like he'd finally won Yuna's heart, though his body was feeling pretty sore. Since he'd slept through class, he had to rush to work. That's when he spotted Jay, the guy who'd refused him a ride. Dom Kang noticed Jay wasn't alone. It looked like some local punks were looking for a fight. TJ asked if Jay had a good nap, because TJ's own head still hurt from their last encounter. Jay had no clue who he was talking to. This made TJ explode, thinking Jay was just mocking him again. TJ kicked the bike down, accusing Jay of being cocky just because he won once. Seeing his bike hit the pavement, Jay finally snapped. TJ ranted about how Jay humiliated him in front of everyone, but Jay wasn't interested in his excuses. Now watch this part closely, this is where the talking stops. Jay leveled TJ with a punch for disrespecting his bike. At first, it didn't look like Jay could fight at all, since that punch barely even moved his target, but it was enough to make the gang furious. They jumped Jay, teaching him a lesson and crushing his glasses into the dirt. TJ hovered over Jay, asking how he planned to show his face in class tomorrow. He sneered, asking if Jay remembered him now. Even after the beating, Jay still had no clue who he was. TJ decided Jay needed another round to fix his memory. That's when Dom Kang spoke up, shocking everyone with his sudden and bold entrance. TJ didn't know who he was and called him a loser. Dom Kang just laughed, saying it's funny how cowards always fight 3-on-1. Without another word, he let his heavy backpack drop to the ground. Cracking his knuckles, Dom Kang announced he was joining in. TJ's friends started whispering, realizing exactly who they were dealing with. With wide eyes, they warned TJ that this guy was dangerous and not someone they should mess with. The vibe shifted instantly. Whatever they told TJ was enough to make him back out of the fight immediately. TJ glared at Jay, calling everyone at that school a fool. He told Jay to thank Dom Kang for being so lucky today. The three of them took off before things could get even uglier. You and I can see Dom Kang is actually a beast. Just the sight of him made those guys vanish into thin air. Dom Kang reached out to help, but Jay ignored his hand. He stood up, told Dom to forget this ever happened and leave. Confused, Dom Kang just messed with his hair, wondering why everyone he meets seems to hate his guts. Not far off, Mino was headed to karaoke with two girls, feeling pretty good about his plans. But as they passed by, there was TJ, the same guy who'd been messing with Mino earlier. TJ made a snarky comment about how nice it is to be rich. Otherwise, those girls wouldn't even look at Mino. Mino immediately canceled his plans when he saw Jay. He apologized to the girls, promising to make it up to them later. The girls looked disappointed. Nearby, Dom Kang was trying to tell Jay his bike was totaled, and he was in rough shape. That's when Mino showed up, asking what on earth happened to Jay's face. Dom Kang explained that some punks from another school were jumping Jay until he stepped in to save the day. Mino knew what that meant. The guys from before were clearly coming back for some petty revenge. Jay just asked Mino if he was done talking, then told him to get lost and leave him alone. Mino felt terrible, apologizing for getting Jay dragged into this mess. Dom Kang just told Jay to never bring up the team again. So where do we go from here? Trust me, you and I are about to see Jay's real limit. Even though Jay refused to ask for help, Dom insisted that something was seriously wrong with his health. Dom offered to walk him home, but Jay told him to get lost. Now pay attention, because Dom is about to handle this in the most Dom way possible. He stepped in close and, with one lightning-fast strike, knocked Jay out cold on the spot. Mino was horrified, but Dom argued it was a mercy compared to what Yuno would have done. Still, Mino could not wrap his head around hitting a guy who was already clearly injured. Dom just shrugged, saying if he had not done it, they would have been arguing all night. He tossed Jay over his shoulder and told Mino to grab the bike, even though he had no clue where they were going. Neither of them knew Jay's address, and the girls nearby thought Dom was acting like a total jerk. Mino ended up running to the pharmacy to grab some medicine and clean bandages for their unconscious friend. While he was waiting, Mino noticed that Dom Kang had accidentally dropped something important on the ground. They both stood there staring at Jay, completely lost because they had no idea where he lived. Okay, I know what you are thinking. Are they just going to stand there? Look, Someone just showed up with a cat phone. It was K-Joe, Jay's younger brother, just trying to head home for a bit before his next class. He overheard some noise and assumed these guys were just Sunny High bullies with a fresh victim. But when he looked closer at the unconscious boy, he realized that face looked way too familiar. It was his brother! KJ's surprised shout immediately caught the attention of the two guys standing over Jay. Dom Kang was pretty sure he heard the kids say Jay's name, and Mino thought the exact same thing. KJ was terrified he was the next target, freezing in place while Mino asked if he actually knew the guy on Dom's shoulder. Dom suspected they were family, but the kid was doing his absolute best to avoid eye contact. Dom Kang insisted he did not believe the boy and kept following him. He was absolutely convinced he had heard the kid mention Jay's name. Mino was watching closely and realized this kid was significant, looking like a mirror image of someone he knew. Then the pieces finally clicked. The boy looked exactly like a younger, scrawnier version of Jay himself. They caught on immediately. K-Joe was lying, and he was definitely Jay's flesh and blood. Dom and Mino were floored that KJ Joe would just walk away and leave his own brother unconscious like that. Furious, they chased after him, with Dom still carrying Jay and Mino wheeling the bicycle right behind them. After a chaotic chase, everything got cleared up, and KJ realized these two were actually his brother's friends. They asked if he was really abandoning his brother. KJ admitted he ran because he thought they were going to jump him, but now he needed to help Jay. At that moment, Dom Kang realized in that moment just how selfish he had actually been. KJO remarked that if Jay was out here getting into fights, at least he picked some loyal friends. They finally got Jay home, and Dom carefully patched him up after cleaning the wound on his forehead. Now it is all up to Jay. And trust me, you and I have a lot more crazy cycling drama coming up. Alright, you and I are jumping back into the drama, starting with a mysterious bandage under Dom Kang's nose. Mino can't help himself. He peels back the bandage to see what secret he's hiding. After seeing what's underneath, Mino warns him that the principal would absolutely lose it. Then he asks Ko if anyone else is actually home. Scanning the area, Mino realizes it's just your typical, messy boy's room. He spots KJ Joe glued to a surveillance monitor, claiming he's just keeping watch to make sure nobody steals a thing. The more the guy talks, the more Mino realizes he's exactly like his own annoying brother. They start digging through the room until they stumble on an old photo of Jay's uncle and a bicycle from Jay's childhood. Mino goes to show off the frame, making Dom Kang wonder why he's getting so close. Looking closer, Dom realizes that kid couldn't possibly be that bratty KJ Joe. The kid in the picture looks way too kind. It's obviously Jay back in the day. Mew notes that Jay has had that bike forever. Then Mew asks why he even showed up for the race after saying he wouldn't. Dom Kang thinks it's super weird that Mew is whispering. Pay attention here, this is where things start getting trippy, as Dom sees the boy morphing into Yuna. He wonders if he's hallucinating. The resemblance to Yuna is honestly just too much to handle. Alright, let's dive into some chaos. Dom Kang is feeling lonely and realized he and Mew never knew Jay and Yuna were actually twins. Mew spotted an old family photo, but he couldn't figure out who the young boy was. Suddenly, Jay woke up with his face covered in bandages, demanding to know why they were there. Mew and Dom shared a look, casually asking if the guy finally slept well and woke up. Jay hopped up, snatched the frame away, and yelled at them to get their dirty hands off his stuff. Mew pulled out a mirror to show Jay his face, explaining they were only there to play nurse. Dom Kang looked pretty proud of himself, saying there was no need to thank him for his duty. In one quick move, Dom ripped the bandages off Jay's face, but Jay wasn't in the mood. He just wanted them gone, but Dom placed a hand on his shoulder and asked if he was serious. Mew and Dom both agreed that Jay was being ungrateful after they went out of their way. Now watch this, they decided to open Pandora's box and check out what was on Jay's computer. Jay snapped at them to stay away, but the duo completely ignored his protests anyway. While Mew pinned Jay down, Dom Kang started digging through all the private study files on screen. Dom smiled, promising to show him the dark path to a whole new world, even as Jay begged them to stop. Meanwhile, KJ figured he should just go to class, since those three were a total time sink. Finally, Dom finished setting up the link. Dom asked if they were ready, but then Jay's brother entered and saw they were facing a forbidden world. Everyone crowded around to see the content Dom had loaded up. Jay's brother was blushing hard, but he was furious they had downloaded such useless junk files. He complained about his computer being a mess, checking the hallway to see if anyone was coming. Before Jay's brother could hit delete, Jay walked back into the room. Jay was there to deliver a message from Mom while Minu and Dom discussed the video elsewhere. Minu liked KJ's style and suggested hanging out, so they agreed to meet at school tomorrow morning. That's when Minu remembered his part-time job, wishing the whole day could just end on a better note. Mew's phone rang, and he realized this was the perfect opportunity to strike. Mew gathered the squad and called an emergency meeting for tonight, making sure TJ's gang showed up too. Everyone showed up as requested, but the complaints were loud. Hearing the whining, TJ smirked and told them to take their problems directly to Mew himself. People wondered if something went down between the two since TJ was specifically invited. Playing dumb, TJ replied that Mew always acted this way. But June chimed in, saying Mew started the team and deserves respect, especially with a meeting this late. TJ just laughed it off, claiming June was being biased. June felt the tension rising just as he spotted Mew arriving. Pay attention now, Mew walked in looking dead serious, while TJ just kept joking. Irritated, Mew adjusted his jacket and slowly pulled a ring off his finger. Mew declared he was settling things with TJ, then stepped up and punched him square in the face. The force knocked TJ flat on the ground, leaving everyone else in total shock. People demanded to know what he was doing, but Mew told TJ to stop slandering the team. Everyone was stunned, trying to figure out what he meant. TJ asked why he got hit, but Mew told him to quit acting like a stupid, brainless loser. TJ smirked and asked if he meant that idiot student council president. He claimed it was the other guy who started the whole mess first. Then TJ boldly stated that Mew was the one who should quit. Mew realized TJ was making a play for his spot while June watched. Trust me, you and I are about to see this power struggle get ugly. Alright, you and I are about to witness the moment Mew finally snaps and confronts the snakes hiding in his own team. They were sick of sudden meetings without notice and even sided with TJ, arguing he might actually have a very good point. They insisted that nobody should be kicked out without the whole team having a say first, accusing Mew of dragging them here just to exile TJ. Smirking, TJ watched Mew face the group's shared dissatisfaction. He pointed out Mew hasn't even been riding lately, claiming he's too busy chasing girls to care about cycling anymore. Mocking him, he suggested Mew just buy his own club since his father's money makes everything so easy. June finally stepped in, telling everyone to shut it because they were way past the line now. Enough was enough. Mew proposed a race to settle who stays in Team Zephys. June knew this was a massive mistake. TJ loved the idea, even though he doubted Mew could even pedal with that injured leg of his. Challenge accepted. TJ suggested a 3-on-3 showdown where the losers have to pack their bags and leave the team forever. Mew claimed he could take all three alone, but June jumped in to save Mew's leg from the pressure. Now pay attention, this is where the tension hits a boiling point between Sunny High and Mountain High. TJ laughed, mockingly asking if anyone else was dumb enough to volunteer for Mew's side. He said anyone willing to go down with those idiots was more than welcome, but silence was their only response. The match was set. Smirking, TJ was thrilled. A 2-against-3 race? This was going to be a total slaughter. The tension was thick as they stared each other down. Meanwhile, the boring school atmosphere was putting most of the students to sleep. One student drifted off, dreaming of a massive dragon appearing right after he collected all the magical spheres. This dragon could grant any wish, so the kid asked for a shredded body like Chris Hemsworth. Talk about a glow-up. The dragon told him it was simple. All he had to do was eat one very specific mushroom. He took a bite, endured some serious agony, and transformed. Suddenly, every girl he passed was clutching their heart. He was now a total stud in a classic coat that only the tallest guys can actually pull off. The coat hid a shredded physique, and every girl was mesmerized, begging to know if a guy like him was single. Playing the gentleman, he joked that he should charge them for every single time their hearts skipped a beat. They were happy to pay, pulling him close until he could hear all their hearts beating at the exact same time. It was so cozy that he actually started drooling all over his desk in the middle of class. I know what you're thinking, but yeah, reality hits hard when he wakes up and realizes it was all just a dream. Shinyong asked what was up while he mumbled something about a bunch of girls crowding around his head. He brushed it off when she asked for details, just thanking her for the carton of milk she'd brought him. He called her Little Water, which was a nickname she absolutely hated hearing from him. Chugging the milk, he imagined all that calcium going straight to his bones to make him taller. Suddenly, a friend grabbed him in a headlock. The shock made him choke, spraying milk everywhere and wasting most of the carton he was drinking. Nearby, some guy was trying to talk to a girl, but her friend was blocking the way like a wall. He recorded the whole awkward bromance on his phone, not wanting to miss a single second of the drama. June asked Mew what the plan was. The answer was simple: win the race and kick TJ's ego out of the team. But his friend was worried. How was Mew supposed to win when his leg was still completely trashed? Mew just laughed it off, saying the doctor told him some light cycling would actually help his recovery. His friend warned that a race isn't light riding. Plus, with the relay format, they were at a massive disadvantage. He suggested asking the student council president, Jay, for help. But Mew wasn't feeling that idea at all. Mew didn't want to drag Jay into their mess anymore, leaving his friend feeling more anxious than ever. Meanwhile, a bored Jay was busy sketching tiny bikes in the classroom when someone suddenly dropped a mysterious envelope right onto his desk. He looked up and saw Mia. She stared back, telling him she brought something to help with his injuries. She was clearly worried, but Jay coldly told her he never asked for her help in the first place. Seeing Jay hurt her friend's feelings, Mia slammed his desk. She told him when a girl tries to help, the least he could do is say thank you. She was upset because Shelly had been miserable all morning just thinking about Jay being in pain. Mia was mortified by Yuna's comments, and things only got worse when Dom Kang arrived. Trust me, you and I won't want to miss what happens next. Alright, you and I are about to see Jay get caught off guard by Dom Kang wrapping an arm around his neck. Yuna is totally shocked. She had no clue they knew each other, but Kang claims they bonded over the internet. Yuna is completely lost. And her friend Mia? Yeah, she has zero idea what Dom Kang is talking about either. Suddenly, some guy calls out for Jay, telling him a senior is waiting in the hallway for a quick chat. Dom Kang jokes about Jay getting too popular, then heads back to Yuna, who immediately showers him with all her love. The rumor mill is spinning fast, with everyone saying these two are dating and acting pretty strange lately. While a few girls gossip about Yuna and Dom Kang, they completely miss the third-year student standing right behind them. But June is a chill guy. As the girls scurry off, they whisper about his looks and the rumor he is not into girls. June overhears every word and feels super awkward because the truth is nothing like what they are assuming. His vibe shifts instantly when he spots the bruises on Jay's face. June is still in the dark about TJ's involvement. That's when it clicks. June realizes this is why his friend Mew was so incredibly pissed off at TJ. June notices Jay staring blankly and wonders if the kid even remembers him or has some kind of face blindness issue. So, June literally spends 5 minutes explaining their history and how they actually know each other. Pay attention here because Jay finally catches on. June explains he came to ask a favor after seeing what Mew did to his face. June admits he did not want to drag Jay into this mess again, but he just can't turn his back on his friend. Jay is brutally honest, as usual. He tells June straight up that he does not want to be part of the team. June pushes back, explaining that things are totally unfair. If Minyu loses this, he's getting kicked off his own crew. Jay asks why he should even care, but June drops the details anyway, 8 p.m. tonight at the same race spot. He leaves Jay with a final thought: if he changes his mind and wants to help, they will be waiting there. The crowd is already gathering at the track, and everyone is buzzing about who is going to take the win. The stakes are high. One loser gets kicked out of the crew. Meanwhile, June sits alone, nervously adjusting his sneakers. Mew is looking confident as hell, calling out to June that it is finally time to get things started. It is already 8 minutes past the start time, and June realizes he has just been sitting there waiting for Jay. Let's pause. June is starting to lose hope that Jay will show, and without him, they are in serious trouble. TJ's team is looking way too smug with their 3-against-2 advantage. June also notices TJ added a new brake to his bike, likely for safety. June even points out that TJ swapped his front wheel for a high-end 8mm carbon version. TJ starts with the trash talk immediately, mocking Mew for not being on a bike in what feels like forever. TJ laughs, telling Mew to take it easy so he does not end up snapping his other leg on the pavement. Just as the rules are about to be read, everyone turns their heads toward a girl arriving on a scooter. She makes one hell of an entrance, instantly grabbing the attention of every single guy at the race. Removing her helmet, she says she is relieved to make it and introduces herself to the crowd as Harry Lee. She's a host for a bike show on Paprika TV and came out because she heard this race was going to be epic. With her helmet off, Harry's stunning looks have every guy in the area blushing and acting totally nervous. She asks if she can live stream the whole thing. Moo, being a total flirt, says it would be a total honor. TJ is actually thrilled. He can't wait to humiliate Mew in front of a live audience. She quickly checks her 4G signal and fires up the stream for her viewers. People are flooding in to watch this high-stakes race. Now, the official finally resumes his explanation of the relay rules. He explains that this is a classic relay race where the teams will have to pass off a baton. But instead of batons, they are using LED bracelets that snap onto your wrist when you apply enough pressure. The official demonstrates the move, clicking the bracelet right into place to show everyone how it's done. Basically, racers drop the bracelets at the handoff points. The first team to finish all the handoffs takes the win. The losing team is gone for good. The official asks the leader if he is truly ready for this. He doesn't really get why he's being asked. With a 3-2 lead, the odds are already stacked. The leader tells them to quit worrying. He does not care if the other team has more members on their side. You and I both know the deal once this starts. There is no room for complaints about unfairness. Alright, you and I are about to dive into one of the most intense cycling showdowns in Manhwa history. The hype is real as they grab their armbands. Harry Lee is already live, telling her fans the Sunny High versus Mountain High war is on. She is ready to stream every single second of this high-stakes race to the world. TJ is looking fired up, ready to humiliate those losers from the rival school. Mountain High sends out Hyungmin against Jun. Moo warns that the early curves make the bike specs almost useless, meaning this race comes down to pure skill. Jun is feeling the pressure, wondering if his busted leg can even survive the final 2 stretches. He is desperately trying to figure out if TJ is the second or third racer. He needs a plan, fast. With his back against the wall, Jun's buddy steps up to provide support for the first leg, letting Jun save his energy for later. Jun tells him not to overdo it, because he is fully prepared to carry the team home. The riders line up while everyone else watches the live broadcast on their phones, hearts racing. Harry gets into position, camera ready to catch the action. The rules are simple: the second that gear hits the pavement, the race is officially live. Now, pay attention. The starter holds the gear by his fingertips, waiting for that perfect, silent drop. The gear hits, and they are off. It is a brutal start, but June is holding his own surprisingly well. Harry is right there in the mix, filming everything from her helmet cam while trailing on a scooter. Red for Sunny High, blue for Mountain High. Suddenly, Mountain High surges forward, taking an early lead. The comments are blowing up online, as people everywhere tune in to watch this madness unfold. Back at the finish, the crowd is glued to their screens, feeling every painful pedal stroke through the broadcast. June is struggling. He doesn't have Moo's raw talent, and his rival is already talking trash, asking if that is his limit. Even though June is clearly pushing himself to the brink, the Sunny High rider is closing the gap and is about to make his move. The rival starts getting paranoid because June is staying dead silent. He decides to floor it and widen the lead while he can. He starts pedaling like a madman, trying everything to stay in the number one spot. But no matter how hard he pushes, the gap between them refuses to grow. He is still leading, but the pressure is suffocating. It feels like June is right on his heels, waiting to strike. Wait, look closely. You and I can see what is happening. June is using a slipstream to conserve energy. Harry spots it too, explaining to her viewers how June is letting the leader break the wind for him. In the world of racing, this technique used to cut air resistance is famously known as drifting and cycling. She calls it a brilliant move, especially for a high school level race like this. The fans think June is just trailing, but passing him is not going to be easy. He is playing the long game. After what Hyungmin did, nobody thought this was possible. The rival thinks he will have the upper hand after the final hill. As he passes Jun, he even mocks him, thanking him for the draft. This makes Jun's opponent absolutely see red, but getting overtaken is the real sting. Now, it is a pure battle of leg strength in the lead. The leader shifts into a heavy gear, dumping every ounce of power into his pedals. The chasers see it immediately. He is going all out. The announcer screams that Sunny High's red armband has officially taken the lead. It is a total shocker. Sunny High blasts past on the uphill, leaving Mountain High in the dust. The distance is opening up fast. It is becoming a gap that is almost impossible to close now. June's friends are hyped, but the rival is confused. He cannot wrap his head around how June is climbing this fast. Up ahead, the relay riders are already in place, waiting for the final, brutal leg of the race. The roar of Harry's scooter gets louder as the finish line finally comes into view. Minu tells his opponent to get ready and wishes him luck, honestly thinking his teammate is the one coming up behind them. You and I know Minu has no idea who is actually about to cross that line first. Mew asks Jiwon if his guy can actually beat Jun. And then the moment of truth. Moo's jaw drops. It isn't his teammate. It is Jun, pointing ahead as he surges past. This race just got way more interesting. You and I see Jiwon realize his team is at a huge disadvantage. Jun is flying solo in the lead with no one in sight. Moo watches with pride, knowing his friend has this, and Jun just smiles back. Fueled by all that hype, Mew lets his opponent know the finish line is coming up fast. Jun rips off the bracelet to hand it over. He wishes Mew luck before Mew takes off, fueled by pure determination to win the race. The commentator shouts that Sunny School's second racer has the bracelet and is already pulling away. Their friends watching the stream believe if Mew holds this pace, the victory is basically in the bag. Harry follows on her scooter, tailing Sunny School's second racer. She sees him absolutely dusting the competition, leaving everyone else in the rearview mirror. Any second now, the second racer will hit the third and final leg of the race. The team is glued to the screens, stunned by the speed. They know Mew and June are an unstoppable duo. Meanwhile, June grabs an energy drink to refuel, but his mind seems to be somewhere else entirely. June prays his friend isn't overdoing it with that injury. This thought lingers, reminding him of the brutal accident that shredded Mew's leg in the first place. June just cannot escape those dark memories until he sits down. Then, he spots a familiar face. Back on the track, Minu is giving it his all, knowing a loss means June will also be kicked off. But suddenly, Minu's leg starts throbbing with unbearable white-hot pain. TJ is at the next station, vibrating with anxiety as he waits for the handoff. TJ's temper flares when a viewer comments that he will be the one getting kicked off the team. The rival school is dominating the lead, and TJ is seeing red, knowing they are loving every second. TJ thinks he finally sees his teammate approaching to hand off the bracelet. Or so he hopes. Now pay attention to this: that red bracelet belongs to the rival, and he's pulling ahead with a gap that feels impossible to close. That speed is unreal. It looks more like a motorbike than a bicycle. TJ is beyond furious at his slow teammate for making this uphill battle even harder. Trailing far behind is TJ's exhausted teammate. The racer struggles to pedal, desperately trying to move his leaden legs while everyone watches the stream on their phones. Thousands are locked into the broadcast as Sunny School hits the final stretch, while Mountain School is still lagging way behind. One viewer is even drying off after her shower just to stay updated. The commentator notes the gap is widening. This actually pleases Mew's old friend, who clearly still harbors a bit of fondness for their old bond. Out on the course, Mew pedals like a madman through the intense agony. Suddenly, Mew spots a cat chasing a ball right in his path. He is going way too fast to stop now. He swerves to miss the cat, but his injured leg buckles under the pressure. Mew hits the asphalt with a brutal crash. You and I both saw that impact. Everyone on the live stream is absolutely devastated by what just happened. June is crushed by the news, while Mew lies there in the dirt, realizing his race is over. As the commentator rushes to give first aid, she announces the broadcast is going dark because of the accident. She cuts the stream, leaving every single viewer in total suspense. June knew Minu shouldn't have pushed that injured leg. Meanwhile, unaware of the crash, TJ is still pedaling blindly, thinking he actually has a shot at catching up. Up ahead, TJ is shocked to see a mangled bike on the road. He sees Mew down and the commentator helping him. A twisted smile creeps across TJ's face at the sight. To TJ, this was always coming. Racing on a bum leg was a suicide mission, but he thinks his luck is unbeatable. Mew struggles to focus on who is standing over him. Slowly, the world stops spinning and his vision clears up. Harry Lee asks if he can stand, but then Mew notices a newcomer. It's Jay, looking down and asking what exactly he's doing on the ground. Mew tells him to stop staring and just send the message already. He does not need the pity. Jay reaches down and slides the bracelet right off Mew's arm, leaving everyone there completely stunned. Without a word, Jay snaps the bracelet onto his own wrist. He remembers leaving a note and food for his brother, claiming he was just out to fix his bike real quick. But his little brother knows exactly what Jay is really up to right now. June quickly breaks down the course rules for Jay, even while Minu keeps insisting he doesn't need to do this. Jay just says don't misunderstand. He's just settling old business. And you and I know Jay is about to change this entire race. Right then, Mew tosses Jay his helmet. Stick with me, we're about to see Jay teach these losers a real lesson. Jay stares at the helmet, wondering if he really has to wear it. It is sweaty, gross, and honestly smells like death. Mew notices the face he is making and snaps. He claims his helmet smells fine, while Jay's attitude is the real problem. Seeing that Minu and Jay are healthy enough to bicker, June prepares to jump back into the race herself. As she heads for her scooter, a familiar bike catches her eye. She has definitely seen this specific one before. TJ starts singing to himself, thinking he can handle any struggle. To him, this whole race has become way too easy now. Things are looking great. TJ isn't even annoyed anymore, just feeling bad for Mew since racing while injured was such a dumb move. Still, finishing the rest of this race all by himself is getting a little boring for a guy like him. Mew is looking pretty cheerful now. He knows a monster is closing in, and TJ is just about to notice it himself. He cannot believe a cyclist is closing in with such monstrous speed. He looks closer and finally realizes it is actually Jay. His eyes go wide in total shock. He cannot wrap his head around how Jay even got back in the game. Now here is where things get wild. TJ starts pedaling like his life depends on it, realizing he has to win now or his school will lose. Seeing Jay chase him down with that much skill, TJ realizes he is dealing with a total beast on two wheels. It feels like a mad dog is hunting him down. TJ knows he has come too far to just lose after all this effort. He is banking on the upcoming downhill section. Surely no one can overtake him while flying at those high speeds. In his mind, outpacing Jay on the descent is the only way to lock in the victory he deserves. Feeling the constant pressure from Jay, a sweating TJ sticks to his plan and hits the downhill section just like he intended. But things are not that simple. As he picks up speed, memories of his last crash start flooding back into his mind. Terror of another crash takes over. TJ slams on the brakes, instantly throwing away the lead he worked so hard for. Meanwhile, Jay is an absolute savage on the slope. For a guy like him, brakes do not even exist. You and I are watching an absolute madman. Since his bike lacks brakes, Jay pulls a rock walk and 180-degree drift downhill. For Jay, this is just a routine move. He pulls it off and keeps flying, leaving a stunned TJ in the dust. TJ is fuming. He knows one more mistake means losing the race and getting himself kicked off the entire team. Suddenly, Jay, now in the lead, lets out a heavy sigh and comes to a full stop. TJ sees him waiting and loses it. He screams at Jay to get out of the way, wondering what he is playing at. Jay just stares him down. TJ, caught off guard, has no choice but to squeeze his own brakes as hard as possible. He prays he can stop before slamming into Jay, who does not even blink. The guy is showing absolutely zero emotion. TJ stops just inches away, absolutely livid. He screams at Jay, asking if the guy has completely lost his damn mind. Jay calmly explains he is only here because TJ had the nerve to kick his bike the day before. He throws a curveball that leaves TJ stunned. Jay wants to settle this properly to see who is truly the fastest. If TJ wants a fight, Jay is happy to give him one. It is finally time to return the favor. Jay lays out the terms. A no-rules race for the final stretch straight to the finish line. He mocks TJ, asking if that expensive carbon bike is actually fast. TJ honestly thinks the guy is joking. There is no way that piece of junk can beat his pro gear, but Jay tells him not to blame the bike. In the end, he should only blame himself. Fed up, TJ tells him to shut up and just start already. The two rivals line up, focused and ready. Then, they explode forward into the final sprint. Both are pushing their limits to break away. At first, the carbon frame holds a tiny lead over Jay. TJ smirks as Jay falls slightly behind. But little does he know, Jay was only just warming up. Watch closely, this is the moment Jay puts everything on the line, kicking into high gear to blast past TJ. TJ is in total shock. Some random guy appeared out of nowhere and is snatching his victory away. Over at the sidelines, the rest of the team noticed Mew and June finally making their way back to them. The team asks if Mew is okay. He admits he feels terrible for ruining the race, knowing his leg was not fully healed. June reminds him that she warned him, doing something that reckless was bound to end badly for him. Mew looks down, finally admitting that racing while hurt was a massive mistake on his part. So what do you and I make of this? Mew is lucky to be alive, while his teammates look strangely satisfied. They thought they'd won, but someone was approaching with Jay, carrying a red flag. Stick with me, this gets wild. This left them totally confused. Their team only had 2 members, and nobody knew of anyone else on the Sunny School roster. Jay had completely taken over the lead, leaving TJ absolutely helpless to do anything about it. For TJ, this was the end. Everything was lost. He couldn't wrap his head around why his expensive bike was getting smoked by a piece of junk. Shock rippled through the crowd at the finish line, but they quickly recognized the person with the red flag. It was actually the president of the Sunny School Student Council. This was the same guy who'd raced TJ before someone known for being unfriendly. Protests broke out immediately, claiming a 2 versus 3 race was totally unfair. He looked completely bored as he finally crossed the finish line. Meanwhile, TJ was a wreck, having lost once again. Jay pulled off his helmet and noted that maybe the bike wasn't the junk after all. TJ was livid, immediately realizing that the junk comment was aimed directly at him. Just as TJ looked ready to fight, people reminded him the guy wasn't even on the official team. Now pay attention, because nobody understood why this outsider suddenly jumped into the race. It made 0 sense for him to interfere. Minu clarified that he'd accepted the 3 versus 2 terms right from the start, regardless of the result. Minu added that the second he fell off his bike, the race was already over for them. With a faint smile, Minu told TJ there was no point in talking anymore. He simply ripped the team emblem off and tossed it aside. The crowd watched in silence. Some felt bad for him, while others thought he was being way too dramatic. Before walking away, Minu looked back and told them to take good care of the team now that they were happy. He gave a sad look to a few members, knowing his time was up. June touched his shoulder, and they walked off together. Minu felt terrible about the loss. Because of it, June had to quit the team too, though she didn't seem to mind. They could just walk away and start something new together. Suddenly, Jay tossed a helmet straight at Minu. Catching it, Minu thanked Jay for the support during the race. Jay didn't even respond, simply ignoring him and riding off. Minu realized Jay hadn't changed one bit. Harry Lee noticed something about that bike. He was riding a bike that belonged to someone she knew well. Minu limped forward, his leg killing him, as June offered a ride. Minu insisted he wasn't a little kid, and told her his house was just around the corner. You and I might think a win is a win, but TJ wasn't excited. It was his second sting of defeat. His friends asked if he was coming, but TJ was lost in thought. He kept thinking about the humiliation and what everyone would say about his defeat. Someone walked up and commented on the bitter expression plastered across his face. Ready for a fight, TJ stood up but stopped cold when he saw Vinny Hong asking if he was stupid. Seeing Vinny actually made TJ feel better. It had been way too long since he'd seen his old friend. TJ finally smiled and asked what Vinny was doing there. Vinny jokingly asked if he wasn't allowed to be there. TJ laughed it off, and Vinny mentioned he'd watched the race, noting that Minu's leg actually seemed to be fine. TJ's friends chimed in, calling Minu nothing more than a total loser now. They explained the win and how Minu was officially off the team. Vinny joked that when the cat's away, mice play. The 3 who raced against Minu's crew actually seemed like decent people. Vinny mentioned the team was disbanded, and there was nothing left to do. TJ realized Minu wasn't even his problem. Vinny seemed curious about Minu, noting that he looked pretty solid during that high-speed race. Still, Vinny warned him to be careful with his leg. Then, Vinny announced he was leaving his own team. This left TJ completely baffled, unable to figure out what Vinny actually meant. Moments later, they reached Minu's house. Minu was crushed over losing the race and his spot on the team. He kept thinking, if only his leg hadn't failed. Just then, his parents pulled up, and Minu's eyes locked onto his father's cold stare. Minu tried to say hello, but his father immediately barked at him, demanding to know why he was outside instead of studying. His stepmother tried to play peacemaker, telling his dad it was just a normal teenage phase. Noticing the gash on his face, she asked how he got hurt. She reached out, wondering if he'd crashed his bike. Without thinking, Minu snapped at his stepmother to get her hands off of him. And trust me, you and I won't want to miss the massive drama coming up next. Alright, you and I are about to dive into some intense manhwa drama. Minu's father punches him, calling him a thug. He demands respect, reminding Minu he is the eldest son. But Minu does not flinch. He fires back, accusing his stepmother of being a gold digger who is just taking advantage of his mother's absence. His father explodes in a rage, claiming Minu only cares about money himself. He even brings up that expensive bike he bought for him. Screaming at the top of his lungs, the father demands that Minu hand over his wallet and every single credit card. Minu slams his wallet down in defiance. He tells his father he does not need a single cent of his money. Hearing that, his father gets even more frustrated and kicks him out of the house right then and there. Watching from the window, his twin sister is devastated. She pulls back, quietly whispering to herself that this whole disaster is all her fault. Elsewhere, in a quiet corner of the city, Minu is seen standing near a random vending machine, looking completely lost. Slumped on a bench, Minu realizes he is broke and homeless. His life is a wreck. No money, kicked off his team, and now homeless. To make matters even worse, Minu watches a happy, perfect family walk right past him on the street. Seeing those kids laughing reminds him of his sisters and mother. That happy memory was his only comfort during these incredibly tough days. He and his twin sister used to be inseparable. He still holds on to that old promise to always protect his sisters and mother. Back then, Minu was just a kind, happy young man living in a home that was actually filled with love. Trust me, it gets even more heartbreaking from here. Now, Minu just sits on a bench and sobs. Tears keep falling, leaving him in total despair. Suddenly, he hears the clink of a can nearby. Someone just grabbed an energy drink from the vending machine. He looks up and sees Jay staring him down. Jay sarcastically asks if he is really crying like a little baby over losing. Minu snaps back that he is definitely not crying. Jay just gives him this skeptical look, clearly not buying a single word of it. Jay turns to walk away, but Minu is desperate. He calls out for a favor, and Jay stops, asking what he wants now. Looking hopeful, as if there is no way the answer could be anything but a yes, Minu asks if he can crash at Jay's place for the night. Jay does not even bother answering, he just keeps walking. Minu persists, saying it is just for one night. He has no cash and has been kicked out of his house. Jay coldly tells him that it is not his problem. To Minu, this guy is acting like a heartless demon, but Minu keeps insisting, promising it is a one-time thing. Jay just says he needs to study and suggests asking another friend. Minu's voice drops as he replies that he has absolutely nobody else left to turn to. Jay makes it clear he is not that guy. In that moment, Minu realizes they are just schoolmates and nothing more. The harsh reality finally sets in. He is truly alone. He no longer has a team or a home to go back to. He realizes the people who approached him only cared about his family's status. Nobody around him actually gave a damn about him. Every bit of their interest was solely focused on his father's massive wealth. They stayed close because he was a prominent businessman's son. To survive, Minu also put on a mask whenever he dealt with them. His father was always surrounded by lies and fake people. This was the reality Minu had ever known. So, he started hiding his true self behind countless masks. But whenever he took them off, he always found himself alone. As a child, he discovered a way to escape that crushing loneliness. He got himself a bicycle. That bike became his only sanctuary. His passion for cycling grew until he eventually started his very own group. At the start, it was just people who genuinely loved to ride. They called the crew Team Zephyrus. Now pay attention to this part because in the middle of all this darkness, something small changes everything. With no team left and the rain pouring down, Minu spots a tiny cat shivering in the cold. He takes a closer look and realizes he has actually seen this stray cat somewhere before. He tries to confirm if this is the same one that caused him to have a bad fall once. For a second, he feels anger, but it vanishes when he sees the cat's injured paw. Compassion completely takes over. Blaming the cat would not change anything, so he shares some food. The feline is gentle, eating right out of his hand. Looking closer, he realizes the cat cannot leave because its paw is too badly injured to move. Minu scoops up the shivering cat. He realizes they are both alone in the world. Just then, a boy with an umbrella walks by. When the kid gets to his house, he finds this strange young man standing in the rain right in front of his door. He recognizes Minu as one of those idiots who hangs out with his brother, but he cannot understand why he is there. Minu recognizes him too, and sarcastically asks if he is that little pest from earlier. You and I just witnessed a lonely soul find hope. The boy ignores him, focusing only on the cat while watching the rain. Alright, you and I are about to see how one simple storm changes everything for them. Much to his surprise, the boy spotted his brother walking in with a wet cat tucked in his arms. Curious, The boy asked where the cat came from. His brother explained the poor thing was shivering in the rain, so he had to bring it inside. Hearing that story, Mew actually started to feel a bit of sympathy for the kid's genuine heart. But the boy quickly clarified he just couldn't leave the cat out in the cold, and Mew was only there as a tag-along. Mew instantly realized it was a massive mistake to expect any kindness from this annoying brat. Meanwhile, Jay watched as his brother carefully dried the cat and grabbed some food. Then, Jay turned around to find Mew standing right there in the middle of his house. Mew told Jay he would leave the second the rain stopped, then went quiet. Suddenly, thwack a towel was tossed right over Mew's head. Jay just pointed toward the bathroom and told Mew to go get himself cleaned up. Even though he was shocked, Mew definitely appreciated the gesture, despite trying to play it cool. Jay quickly barked that this was a one-time thing, and not to get used to it. Jay's little brother still thought it was super weird to let Mew stay, even though Mew swore he wasn't some homeless guy. After the shower, Mew felt completely refreshed. There's really nothing better than a hot shower and a warm house. Mew announced he was starving and started raiding the fridge without a single bit of hesitation. Now pay attention, because here is where things get really awkward for our intruder. When Jay's mother walked into the kitchen, she froze, seeing Mew digging through her fridge. Startled, Mew quickly gave the lady a polite greeting. Looking at Mew, the woman realized exactly who he was, the son of one of the town's most powerful figures. She immediately whipped up a huge meal for him. Mew was thrilled to dig in, especially since saucy fried chicken was his absolute favorite dish. Impressed, Jay's mother asked how her son managed to make such a high-status and valuable friend. Jay bluntly replied they weren't friends at all. Then, his little brother chimed in, reminding Mom she always said friends were a waste of time. To shut him up, Jay's mother literally launched a chicken drumstick at her younger son's face. She told him to stop talking and focus on studying since exams were coming up. Suddenly, a tiny meow echoed through the room. She looked toward the stairs, spotted the cat, and demanded to know where the animal came from. Already in trouble, the younger brother saw Mew's reaction and immediately pointed the finger, blaming Mew for bringing the cat inside. The kid dumped all the blame on Mew before running over to hug the cat, which he'd already named Jack. Jay and his mother realized the kid had already claimed the pet. Trying to stay calm, Jay's mother smiled and told her son it would be better to return the cat once their guest left. But the boy, mouth covered in sauce while clutching the cat, just pretended to agree while having zero intention of letting go. You see the tension as Mom spots their bruised faces. She asked if they had been fighting. To avoid the question, Jay started chugging his soda as fast as possible so he couldn't speak. The pressure fell on Mew, who stammered out a lie about getting into a scrap with some local boys. Jay's mother went ballistic, vowing to hunt down whoever dared to touch someone as important as Mew. She demanded to know their school, but Mew claimed he didn't know since they weren't in uniform. Mew tried to calm her down, promising it wouldn't happen again. Jay quietly thanked his mother for the food and headed to his room while everyone watched him go. Jay's mother sighed, noting that her son's grades were starting to slip lately. She warned that if they didn't improve, Jay would lose his bike for good. Jay just muttered that he understood and vanished into his room. Mew followed right behind since he was crashing there for the night. Seeing Jay already back on his computer, Mew asked what he was doing. Jay just gave him a cold look and ignored him. Before long, Mew was sprawled out on the bed, bragging about how full he was and how soft the mattress felt. Half asleep, Mew mumbled that Jay's life seemed tough too, constantly being pressured by his mom to be the absolute best. But Mew admitted he was jealous, seeing Jay have a mother who was actually there to spoil him. Jay just killed the lights and tried to kick the intruder off his bed. Mew whined that he couldn't sleep on the floor and suggested they just share the bed like bros. Annoyed, Jay set up a spot on the floor for himself. Then, out of nowhere, he asked Mew when he first started cycling. Mew told him it started when he was a kid, watching some boy in the park and thinking it looked like pure fun. Mew wondered if that boy was a pro now. That's when the crazy idea hit him they should definitely form a cycling team together. Jay told him to shut up and go to sleep because he was being a total pain. So, you and I are left wondering, will Mew actually stay for a few more days? Trust me, it only gets wilder from here. You and I are jumping back in as Jay stands up, demanding to know what Mew is saying. Mew explains that Jay's mom actually invited him to stay indefinitely, and Jay is absolutely not feeling the situation. Retreating to a corner, Mew shoots a text to his sister, Yuna, asking for a fresh change of clothes while reassuring her he is totally fine crashed at Jay's place. Yuna just asks for the address to drop off the gear. Mew eventually passes out, but by morning, the delicious aroma wafting from the kitchen has him wide awake and curious. Still half asleep, Mew stumbles toward the noise, rubbing his blurry eyes at what looks like an old lady cooking. Wait for it, you and I didn't expect this. It's Jay, rocking a cat print apron because his mom left early. Mew loses it, laughing his head off while asking Jay if this is some weird cosplay. He tries to snap a photo for the gram, but he is shaking so hard from laughter he can't even focus. He asks about Jay's little brother, Kay, who is already outside playing with Jack. Mew finds the early bird kid strange, but his eyes light up at the food, thinking Jay made him a feast. Spoon in hand and ready to feast, Mew realization hits him hard. When Jay carries the plate away, Mew is stunned to find out it is for the cat. He is starving, and Jay's choosing a feline? Jay's response is simple: if he's hungry, he should cook. Across town, the Sunny High principal is prepping for the day when his phone rings. Who calls this early in the morning? It is his granddaughter, Shel, and just hearing her voice fills the old man with pride. She's coming back to Korea and wants a reunion, leaving the principal beaming with pure excitement. Now, here is where it gets interesting. This blonde bombshell clearly shares the same cycling obsession as her proud grandpa. Early bird Mew is already out, meticulously tuning his bike and checking every single detail. Yuna suddenly appears, dropping off the bag of clothes he begged her for the night before. She asks what's up, and he explains he's just drying out his ride after yesterday's downpour. Clearly over his bike obsession, Yuna hands him the gear and tells him to stop being a stubborn idiot and just come home. She promises to handle their dad, but Mew isn't buying it. Honestly, she is shocked. Mew prefers Jay's house, and even more surprised that Jay is actually being decent to him. Mew says Jay is stiff, but alright. When Yuna offers a lift to school, his pride kicks in and he refuses. He's riding his bike, even suggesting that Yuna should try getting on 2 wheels. She ignores that advice, telling him to just make sure he isn't late today. As Yuna drives off, Mew waves goodbye, only for little K to pop up and ask if that was his girlfriend. Mew finally notices the kid. Grossed out, he snaps that she's his sister, not his girlfriend, before asking how long the kid has been eavesdropping. K just ignores him, telling the cat it's obvious a delinquent like Mew would be single. Crashing at someone else's house? Zero chance of a girlfriend. Mew fumes, wishing he could teach this little brat some real manners. Grinning, K tells Jack the cat to guard the house while he heads off to school. Mew is just left with the cat. Jay is prepping for school and ignoring Mew until he is called out, prompting a question about their commute. Mew admits he's broke and riding his bike today, so why not head out together and make it interesting? Jay gives him a blank stare, and next thing you know, they hit the road. Mew starts whining immediately. This bike path is a disaster, cluttered with trees and random fire extinguishers everywhere. Jay is used to the chaos, but Mew suggests cutting through the park for some peace. Mew even tries to talk Jay into playing hooky, but Jay's stone-cold glare shuts that down fast. He notices Jay's missing a helmet and offers to buy one until he remembers he's completely flat broke. Jay tells him to quit the yapping and just focus on pedaling. Mew tries to start a race, but Jay says he is only competing with himself. Back at school, it is the usual loud chaos. Mia looks shocked by Yuna's latest gossip. Mia can't believe those two are actually getting along, and Yuna agrees. You and I just witnessed the start of a legendary friendship. Alright, stick with me because today we're diving into some high school drama that starts with Mia teasing Yuna. Yuna changes the subject to the upcoming student council meeting this weekend, which is actually happening at a cafe. Mia loves the idea, but wonders if Jay will let them hold the meeting outside of school grounds. Yuna's ready since most department heads are girls, they can easily pressure Jay into agreeing. Mia is thrilled, thinking this is her big chance for a dream date with her beloved Jay, and Yuna even promises to make sure they end up totally alone. Blushing, Mia tells her she's helping way too much. Suddenly, Dom Kang jumps in after eavesdropping, asking if he can tag along and join their little meeting. Yuna instantly shuts him down, reminding him he isn't even on the council, while Dom Kang desperately offers to be her personal assistant just to go. He keeps pushing, even inviting her to a zombie movie after the meeting ends. Watching them from a distance, Mia thinks they look cute together, but Yuna makes it clear she hates those movies. Just then, Mia looks out the window and spots Jay and Mew pulling up on their bikes. She tells Yuna how much she wants a bike now, especially since the weather has been so perfect. Yuna suggests Mia should buy a bike and ask Jay to teach her, but then Dom Kang butts in again, though Yuna couldn't care less about him. Now pay attention here, because as Minwoo rolls into school with his bike, he's turning every single head. Meanwhile, 2 boys are totally distracted by a magazine filled with photos of beautiful girls. The class leader ruins the fun by telling them to stay organized, leaving the 2 boys feeling totally annoyed. That's when they see Mew walk into the classroom with his bike, parking it right in the corner. Confused, one boy asks why he brought the bike inside. Mew asks if he has any idea what this thing is worth, explaining he'd never leave it outside, and the boy is shocked when he hears the actual price. He thinks the price is insane, joking that the bike must be made of solid gold. Still, the boy wants to try it out, but the seat is way too high and he gives up. Over in Jay's class, Yuna stops by to talk about the student council meeting. She tells him everyone wants the cafe location, and even though Jay clearly doesn't like it, Yuna just walks away while humming a happy tune. Later, Yuna tells Mia that the plan worked and tells her to dress up to make a huge impression, making Mia blush with pure nerves over what to wear. You and I can probably relate, as Mia panics in her room, wondering what outfit is perfect for this. With clothes everywhere on her bed, she tries on one look after another, staring at herself in the mirror. Her hair and makeup are stressing her out too, until her phone suddenly starts ringing and breaks her focus. It's Yuna, calling to say she's already on the way to pick her up, asking if she's finally ready. In a panic, Mia says she'll be ready in just a few minutes. Since she's totally out of time, she just grabs a dress she thinks works, and tries her best to look good with the little time left. Meanwhile, everything is quiet at Jay's place, where Mew is bored and complaining about being broke all weekend. He watches couples pass by and spots Kay obsessed with cats, then sees Jay getting ready to head out somewhere. Jay explains he's heading out for a student council meeting. Mew can't believe they have meetings on weekends and tries to invite himself along since he's so incredibly bored. Jay tells him no, so Mew promises to watch the house as long as Jay brings him back a nice treat like some ice cream. Jay just looks at him without saying a word. The cafe is pretty peaceful when they arrive, with just a few people sitting around and one couple having fun. But at Yuna's table, things are awkward, especially with Dom Kang nearby making a scene over some bagels. Mia finally arrives, feeling really embarrassed. She apologizes for being late, but she looks so different and polished that Dom Kang doesn't even recognize his friend. Mia gets self-conscious and tells him he should at least recognize her by her voice. Yuna gets hyped seeing Mia without her glasses, telling her she should switch to contact lenses much more often. Trust me, you and I can see how stunning she looks, and even the other guys at the meeting are commenting on her new style. His girlfriend, however? Alright, you and I are jumping into a story where the characters are just as intense as the action itself. Stick with me. At another table, Vinny was fuming as his friends pointed out a group staring them down with judgmental looks. Vinny quickly realized these strangers were actually gossiping about his unique physical appearance, specifically his two different colored eyes, whispering that it was probably just some fake cosplay. Fed up with the insults, Vinny decided to confront them. He grabbed one of their coffee cups, took a fake sip, and loudly complained it tasted like total trash. This bold move instantly pulled everyone's attention to their table. Vinny leaned in and asked the group if his eye color was really making them that uncomfortable. He even sarcastically suggested they should just pluck his eye out to see if it was real. The guys panicked and told him to stop, but Vinny just gave their table a massive kick, sending one of them flying. This sudden explosion of chaos caught the eye of Dom Kang, who was sitting nearby with his crew. Vinny kept the pressure on, pinning the guy to the floor with his foot while asking if he wanted more. Then, Vinny accidentally splashed hot coffee on another guy, claiming it was a mistake. A girl in the group started screaming for help, but nobody dared to step into the middle of their heated argument. Watching the scalding liquid fly, Dom Kang finally decided he had seen enough. He tried to grab Vinny's hand to stop the trouble, but Vinny just glared back, clearly irritated by the interruption. Now pay attention, because the atmosphere here is about to get incredibly thick between these two. While Dom tried to play peacemaker, Vinny kept right on pouring hot drinks over the guy, letting the rest spill out. The man who'd been mocking him earlier was now whimpering on the floor like a frightened dog, trying to back away. He begged for the police while Vinny mockingly flicked Dom's cap, asking him what the actual problem was. Dom Kang didn't move an inch, just keeping his cold gaze locked onto Vinny. He kept his cool without touching him, just as Yuna's voice sliced through the tension and caught his attention. She told Dom to put his fists away and try to avoid causing a scene for once in his life. Dom adjusted his hair, still staring Vinny down, though the look in his eyes had started to shift. Vinny's friend stepped in then, whispering in a low tone that they needed to bail before things got out of hand. Being the eccentric guy he is, Vinny stuck his tongue out at Dom before finally turning to leave. He tossed a warning over his shoulder, saying they would finish this little conversation in private somewhere else. Hearing the threat, Dom just picked up his cap and placed it back on his head, completely unfazed. He walked over to Yuna, claiming he'd been a perfect gentleman today, but she didn't give him much of a reaction. She gave him a simple good job, just as a mysterious woman in high heels arrived with a sophisticated suitcase. Every man in the area stopped dead in their tracks, their jaws practically hitting the floor at the sight of her. You and I can see why she's a striking blonde beauty who commands attention wherever she goes. Couples even started bickering as guys couldn't stop staring, but one confident man decided he had a real shot. After fixing his hair and smoothing out his clothes, he prepared to make his grand move. He bragged to his friend about her European beauty and his supposed mastery of the French language. He told his friend not to worry, since his strategy was 99% charisma and 1% basic French. The friend was skeptical, believing the guy needed a reality check because this woman was way out of his league. The woman noticed the sidelong glances, thinking about how predictable and annoying most men could be. When he finally approached her, trying to show off with his broken French, she didn't even flinch. She calmly replied that they could just speak Korean, naturally answering his questions about where she was from. The man tried a cheesy line about spotting an angel and feeling the need to follow her every move. Then came the big question he asked for her number while handing over his phone for her to type it in. To his surprise, she actually took the phone and started writing something on the screen. As a cyclist passed by, The woman was also seen typing something on her own phone while a scooter appeared. The rider in the front wore an Iron Man mask, signaling that their target was directly ahead of them. And here's where things get dangerous. Those guys are heading straight for the woman and her valuable suitcase. She indifferently handed the phone back, saying she'd message him later, while the guy stood there thinking he'd actually won her over. Stick with me, because you and I are about to watch this guy's ego get crushed by a fake phone number. As he stares at his phone, two thieves on a scooter suddenly blast past him. They snatch a woman's bag like it's a trophy and floor it to get away. The woman's in shock, but she's too slow to react. Nearby, a cyclist in a hoodie spots the whole thing while pedaling at full tilt. Even though he's clearly in a rush, he's got his eyes locked on a specific target. Now, watch closely as Jay, the director's granddaughter, sees him fly past right after the robbery. She speeds off, desperate to see exactly what this mysterious cyclist is planning to do. A group of construction workers are nearby, just chillin' and smoking cigarettes. Jay scares the life out of them as she speeds by, grabbing a worker's helmet mid-run. Now that he's protected, our cyclist can finally push his limits without fearing a crash. Back at the cafe, the cleaning crew is busy prepping the floor for the next customers. They're wishing patrons would just drink their coffee and leave quietly instead of making such a massive mess. People are watching them clean with total annoyance. Meanwhile, that young guy who was soaking up his girlfriend's attention just a moment ago starts thinking about how he'd handle things himself. He knows if things got ugly, his old-school reputation as bloody prey would have come out to play. Dom Kang claims he doesn't want to fight, just intimidate them a bit. Even so, the girls are totally loving his tough guy act. But Yuna isn't buying it. She tells him acting tough isn't the same as having real courage. He just didn't think it through. But Mia? She's got a question that's been killing her. She asks if he's finally ready to confess his true feelings for her. She laughs awkwardly and says that's not it. She actually wants to know why he's always got a band-aid on his upper lip. He's not exactly amused. He touches his lip and asks if she's really that curious about it. Yuna tells him everyone was going to ask eventually. Mia's dying to know what's so special that he has to keep it hidden. She promises to keep it a secret. He agrees to show her, but only if they promise not to tell. Now, get ready. You and I are about to see his big secret. But wait, it's just a mustache? The girls can't believe he's been hiding facial hair this whole time. They think it's totally weird for a high schooler to have a full stash. One of the guys at the table thinks it's actually legendary. He starts imagining himself with a full beard, thinking it would make him look like a total alpha male. Mia's actually impressed that a high school kid can grow a mustache like that. The guy wonders if there's a secret miracle gel that makes hair grow that fast. He thinks it would give any man an instant boost in his masculine looks. He begs Dom Kang for a drop of it, but Dom says no way. Apparently, it's a rare find on the black market. The girls are just baffled. Why go through all that trouble to grow a mustache just to hide it under a band-aid all day? He explains it's for his part-time job. It makes him look way older and more professional. If the teachers find out, he's forced to shave it immediately. So, the band-aid is his only cover. Mia finally connects the dots. He's always exhausted in class because he's working his tail off at that job. Another girl asks what kind of job his dad has that would require him to do all this, too. He says his dad handles the office side of an organization, but to anyone else, it looks way more intense. The guy looks like a straight-up mafia boss dealing with other high-level heavy hitters. When the whole crew gathers, it's terrifying. But as gangsters, they always have to keep their cool. Anyway, his dad is finally flying back to Korea today. The girl asks if he's basically just a regular office worker or some kind of civil servant for them. He just starts cracking up, trying to dodge the question and shift the mood. Mia senses the awkwardness, grabs a ticket, and says she's going to get some more coffee. She heads off with a smile, but someone nearby is already starting to snap photos of her. It looks like she's caught someone's eye because, in that light, she looks absolutely stunning. Somewhere else, our student council president is pedaling his bike at absolute maximum speed. He's wearing a borrowed helmet while hunting those thieves. The bikers think they got away clean, but then they realize someone is actually on their tail. They're losing it when they see a bicycle actually keeping up. Trust me, you and I are about to see a motorcycle get outrun by a bike. Alright, you and I are about to see why you never underestimate a cyclist with a grudge. These thugs think they are safe, but Jay is right on their tail. He needs to be smarter than them. Jay starts pedaling with everything he has, weaving between cars to keep that motorcycle in his sights. As Jay stays locked on the motorcycle's trail, chasing the guys who snatched that woman's purse, he shows off some insane skills. Ramps, small walls, dodging traffic, nothing stands in his way. None of those obstacles are a problem. Taking a shortcut to cut these criminals off is going to be a walk in the park. He is so used to this high-stakes riding that he is now pedaling right along the top of a narrow wall. Nearby, some kids are playing soccer. One of them kicks the ball way too hard, and it is screaming straight toward Jay on that wall. The little kids are stunned. They think he is part of some elite bike squad because nobody should be able to pedal on a wall like that. Some of them are totally starstruck. In their eyes, A bike is way cooler than any ball. Jay keeps pushing forward on that wall shortcut until he finally spots the motorcycle again. The thief on the bike admits he was spooked for a second. He thinks it is a joke until it is not. Get ready, because this is where Jay literally takes flight and leaves everyone speechless. With massive momentum from the wall, Jay is totally airborne. He flies right over some kids who are just trying to enjoy their ice cream. They cannot believe their eyes. It is not every day you see a guy soaring through the air on a bicycle. The criminals are just as terrified as the kids are impressed. To the children watching, this looks like a scene straight out of a movie. It was absolutely incredible to see someone pull off such a daring and dangerous move. The cyclist hurls his bike at the motorcycle to stop the criminals mid-flight. He hits the ground hard, landing on some discarded boxes right alongside the crashing thieves as the kids watch in pure amazement. He stares down the criminals. They try to bolt, but they leave the stolen bag behind just to get away from him. Soon, Shel pulls up in a white car, frantically asking if the cyclist is okay after that brutal crash. He looks like he has a head injury, but with his helmet on, it is hard to tell how bad the damage really is. Shel wants to rush him to the hospital, but he just hands her the bag and tries to fix his mangled bike. He ends up having to carry it. The frame is in such bad shape that he cannot even ride it home anymore. Shel keeps insisting he get checked out, but he will not budge. Realizing he is stubborn, she just thanks him for getting her bag back. Jay pulls out his phone to call the team. He lets them know he is not making the meeting because he has been in an accident. Yuna panics, asking if he is hurt or needs help. Even Dom Kang is curious, wanting to know exactly what went down. Yuna tells everyone Jay had a bike accident and will not be showing up. The news immediately kills the mood of the meeting. This gets Mia's attention. She looks worried and asks if Jay is actually going to be all right. Yuna says he sounds okay, but he did not give her many details. Someone jokes that maybe he is just making up an excuse to skip out. Yuna shuts that down immediately. Jay is not the type of guy to flake on his responsibilities like that. They decide to wait a bit longer before heading out. Mia is clearly crushed and excuses herself to go to the bathroom. Staring in the mirror, she feels like the whole day was a waste. While she is worrying about Jay, someone new enters the picture. And trust me, this guy CJ Kim is about to change everything for Mia. He has been scouting her. He tells her she is exactly the kind of model they have been looking for at their magazine. He tells her to get in touch if she is interested, hands her a business card, and says she can call him anytime. Mia is stunned. She looks at the card in her hand, completely caught off guard by the sudden offer. Eventually, Mia, Yuna, and Dom Kang say their goodbyes to the rest of the crew, promising to catch up at school. On the way, the friends talk about how it sucks that Jay missed out, especially since Mia worked so hard on her look. Mia looked amazing. Yuna tries to cheer her up, saying another chance will come. Then she asks about that guy near the bathroom. Mia shows her the business card and explains the whole scout situation. Yuna recognizes the name. That fashion magazine is huge, so this guy is likely the real deal. Meanwhile, over at Jay's place, Mew is watching music shows while the cat plays with a ball on the floor. Mew is bored out of his mind at home. Meanwhile, Jay finally reaches a specialty shop, lugging his broken bike in for repairs. He politely excuses himself as he walks in. Standing there is a girl in a military cap with some noticeable tattoos. She is wearing a white tank top and gives him a friendly welcome. Jay explains he is just there to get his ride fixed up. She recognizes him from the big race. And honestly, you and I both know Jay's life is about to get a lot more complicated. Stick with me, you are about to see that Jay has a real talent for forgetting both people and things. Jay was just there to fix the bike, but she insisted on treating the small cut on his forehead first. He wasn't exactly thrilled, wanting her to repair his ride instantly without worrying about his minor injuries. Jay acknowledged her job, but insisted the bike was the priority even after she tended to his forehead. Taking a look at the bike, she realized the damage was brutal. The fork and wheel were totally unusable. Luckily, the frame was still intact, a relief since Jay crashed while trying to chase down those thieves. Even though she was gorgeous and her tank top showed off her ink, Jay wasn't focused on her. Pay attention here, his eyes were glued to a photo of his uncle on the wall. That picture triggered memories of the final stage of the Tour de France, a race Jay watched online. For the first time ever, a Korean cyclist was leading, with an English athlete charging hard behind him. Mark surged ahead and overtook the Korean cyclist in an instant. As they sprinted for the finish line, Jay remembered his uncle telling him to always chase his dreams. Young Jay claimed he wanted to be a doctor, but his uncle said dreams should be his own. The boy argued back, saying he was just a student who had to study to please his parents. His uncle just commented that studying wasn't a real dream, it was way too boring for that. Studying mattered, but finding a passion was even better, making Jay wish he could find something he loved. He asked his uncle about his own dream, and the man said he wanted to be world champion. It seemed impossible, but his uncle believed that with enough heart and dedication, anything could happen. On that race day, Jay's uncle actually became the first Korean cyclist to win that legendary final stage. Jay was watching when his parents nagged him about his homework and needing to get some sleep. He shut down the computer feeling totally at peace, thinking his uncle proved nothing in life is impossible. Those youth memories faded as Harry asked if he knew the writer, noting he wasn't famous in Korea. In Korea, cycling is taken very seriously, and Jay's uncle was a legend who won several major Asian competitions. Harry added that he even won the final stage of the Tour de France, every cyclist's ultimate dream. Then Harry looked at Jay and asked if he knew him, and Jay replied that was his uncle. You and I probably guessed it, Harry already suspected because she recognized the bike Jay used for his training. She noticed the name on the frame, as pro cyclists often give their bikes a personal title. The bike was named Manhwa, which is when Jay asked how Harry even knew his uncle. Harry explained she admired him so much that she actually led a fan club dedicated to the man. Turning back to the bike, she said the front needed replacing and to return in 2 days. Jay hated leaving it behind, but agreed to return later, though Harry asked him to wait a second. She handed him a flyer for the Street League, a long-distance championship looking for new racers. The winner would get $100,001 and a shot at the international championship. Jay gave a flat no, but Harry said to call if he changed his mind. Jay firmly stated exams were his only priority. Harry just smiled and told him to pick up the bike later and maybe hit the hospital. Jay walked off and started searching his pockets, only to realize his wallet was completely gone. Later at home, Jay was just chilling with music, totally oblivious to the fact he lost his wallet. Meanwhile, Shelley's grandfather was thrilled to arrive and see his favorite granddaughter was finally there. He said how much he missed her, while Shelley searched Jay's wallet and saw where he studied. Shelley then asked her grandpa if she could enroll in that same school to study for a while. Later on, Moo was absolutely stunned by Jay's appearance when he saw his bruised and cut face. He asked if Jay had been in some accident, and an annoyed Jay just gave a short confirmation. Mew asked how Jay got hurt every single day and where the bike was. But trust me, you and I are in for a ride. Suddenly, Mew notices the bike is pretty banged up. It's a sad realization that Jay won't be riding with them for a while. Frustrated, Mew realizes he's stuck heading to school all by himself tomorrow. Meanwhile, Jay's little brother is fast asleep on the carpet right next to his buddy, Jack. School starts the next day and everyone swarms Jay, asking if he's okay after that nasty accident. Dom Kang, acting like they've been best friends forever, asks Jay if he's finally feeling better since everyone at the cafe was so worried. Dom makes it very clear that Moo, specifically, was losing her mind over it. Mew is standing right there. She panics and slams a hand over his mouth before he can spill any more secrets. Yuna just wants Jay to be real and explain what actually went down on his way there. Jay is not having it. He tells them it's no big deal and that they should just shut up and study. The teacher walks in and tells everyone to grab a seat for an announcement. He needs total silence because what he's about to say is a big deal. Now, get ready, because this new exchange student is about to flip the whole school upside down. He calls for Shelley to step inside. A stunning blonde girl walks in with the kind of confidence that stops time. The whole room goes dead silent, mesmerized by her beauty. The teacher explains that Shelley just transferred all the way from England. She's only here for 1 semester, so he tells the class to be friendly. Then, he asks Shelley to introduce herself to the group. She keeps it simple, saying she's Shel, and she loves traveling and cycling. The boys go absolutely wild, like an angel just fell from heaven. Yuna? She's just disgusted by how pathetic they're acting. Yuna's still annoyed, while Dom Kang admits the new girl is pretty, but she's still got nothing on Yuna. Meanwhile, Jay couldn't care less about the hype or the hate going on around him. But Shelley? She's already found exactly who she was looking for. Outside, the director is literally crouching down, spying to make sure his granddaughter is fitting in okay. He realizes this room is full of wolves staring at his precious Shelley. Suddenly, the janitor catches him in the act and cuts his spying short. Back inside, the teacher scans the room for the best place to seat the new girl. Shelley's got this. She tells him she'll find her own spot, then starts walking with purpose right toward her target. She leans in and kisses Jay on the cheek, leaving the entire class in shock. Mia looks on, completely heartbroken and stunned by the move. The guys are impressed that the new girl moved that fast, but the director is losing his mind. He's fuming, praying that the boy doesn't even think about kissing her back. The janitor has to literally drag him away because he's causing a scene. The teacher tries to restore order, while a stunned Jay wipes his face and asks her what she's doing. Shelley explains she never got a chance to thank him for saving her bag back at the Imaginext line. She hands him his wallet that he dropped, letting him know she kept it safe the whole time. She looks at the guy next to Jay and asks for his seat. Trust me, you're going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are watching this guy act totally intimidated as he offers Shelley his own seat. Yuna finally realizes Jay missed the meeting because of Shelley. Meanwhile, Mia is fuming over that totally unnecessary kiss. June is staring at the race flyer when Minu suddenly blasts right past him. June asks where he is going in such a hurry, but Minu says they will talk later. He just learned the new exchange student is in class. June has something massive to tell his friend, but Minu is not even listening. The whole school is gossiping about the nerd who kissed a blonde angel. June wants to mention the flyer, but just stays quiet. Now pay attention here, Jay is actually entering the racing tournament they both love. Minu bursts into the room out of life, looking for the nerd who kissed the blonde angel. Jay is already surrounded by guys dying to know where he met such a beautiful girl, and how they know each other. The girls are eyeing Shelley, judging her hair and asking how on earth she even knows Jay. Shelley glances toward Jay and sees Minu waving like crazy, shouting that he is from class 3. Shelley says she was hoping to meet him. Minu then approaches Jay, puts a hand on his shoulder, and says they really need to talk. Jay just brushes him off. Trust me, you and I do not want to miss what comes next. Alright, you and I are about to witness one of the most awkward misunderstandings in school history. While Shelley watched the pair from afar, Mu started grilling Jay about their history and why he was moving in on her so fast. Jay shut it down instantly, saying there was nothing between them, but Mu was convinced his friend was just joking around. Jay claimed Shelley just came out of nowhere and kissed him for absolutely no reason at all. Mu thought the whole story was crazy and wanted to know why Jay kept Shelley a secret while they were living together. The crowd nearby started losing it, convinced Jay had totally betrayed Mu's trust by stealing his girl. Mu, trying to look cool, told everyone they were totally misunderstanding the situation. A student reporter caught the moment on camera for the school paper, while a kid with orange hair walked by and smelled Shelley's hair. Shelley slapped him away instantly. Mia, watching the chaos unfold, could barely process what she was seeing as she stood up. Mia was totally crushed, and the constant gossiping from the students around her only made the pain worse. Now watch this, because we are about to see the real reason why Mia is so devoted to Jay. She remembered the brutal bullying she faced, like the day her classmates went too far and smashed her glasses. Mia was devastated because she could not afford new glasses and was blind without them. That was the moment Jay walked up and asked for her prescription. When she told him, he realized they had the same eyes and offered her his own spare pair. Since he was always breaking his own, he gave her his extra set. And that is how their middle school story began. She knew he was socially awkward and never showed emotion, but deep down, Jay was the kindest person she had ever met. And just like that, Mia fell for him. Between the trauma of being bullied and her own shyness, Mia found it impossible to ever tell him how she felt. She lost all her self-confidence and started hating every interaction she had with the outside world. Later on, Jay was leaving class when he heard a voice that always seemed to find a way to annoy him. It was Mu, waving a flyer and calling Jay a nerd while asking for an update on his broken teeth. The flyer was for a cycling race with a prize of 100 million won, and since Mu was broke, he was interested. Mu tried to talk Jay into forming a team, thinking it was the perfect way for them to score some cash. Jay, cold as ice, told him he was not interested and ordered Mu to stop bothering him immediately. Minu kept pushing, saying they could end up on TV and get famous. Meanwhile, Shelley watched from a distance as Minu tried to persuade Jay to join the race. Just as Shelley was about to shout for Jay to wait up, her grandfather suddenly appeared out of nowhere. He stopped her cold and asked where she was headed. Shelley claimed she was just hanging out with a friend, but her grandfather grabbed her by the hood and said that friend could wait because they needed to talk. He asked what kind of trouble she was planning and forced her to head home. Shelley was devastated because she really wanted to follow Jay. Back home, Jay showered and sat down to study, but Mu burst in again, still holding that same racing flyer. Mu suggested that if Jay fixed the bike, they could dominate the race together. But Jay was completely done with the conversation. Pay attention, because this news broadcast is about to change everything for Jay. A professional cyclist named Sancho Choi was being interviewed about his upcoming street league race. Minu knew exactly who he was, the greatest rider in Korea, and he was definitely hyped to see him compete. When asked about the prize, Sancho Choi announced he would race the final stretch against whichever amateur team won the whole thing. While Jay and June fought over the TV remote, Mu tried his best to focus on the legendary cyclist. The broadcast brought up Jo, a cycling legend who died 2 years ago after a suspicious accident that happened right after a doping test. Sancho Choi mourned the loss, but noted that if Jo were still alive today, he would have been forced to retire in disgrace because of the doping. Jay felt a surge of sadness as he remembered his uncle's gentle, honest face. The cyclist on TV condemned using drugs to win and hoped others would not follow that dark path. The two kept wrestling for the remote until Jay suddenly stood up and announced he was finally entering the race. Mu froze, thinking he had totally misheard him. Late that night at the square, June asked Jay if he was actually serious about forming a team with them. Jay confirmed it. After hearing what Sancho Choi said about his uncle, there was no way he could just sit back. Mu asked what caused the sudden shift, and as you and I look at Jay's angry face, it's clear he's ready to fight for his uncle's honor. Alright, let's see if Jay's motivation was the prize money or the international stage. But for Jay, nothing mattered more than clearing his uncle's name and exposing Sancho Choi's lies. June didn't care about the reason, he was just hyped that Jay was finally on board. Now they had a real problem. The roster was still too small to even be called a team. Mew feared his old crew might end up as rivals, but June told him to just forget them. Now they could build something new. Mew's first mission was coming up with a killer team name. June agreed a name was vital and asked for suggestions. Jay stayed silent while Mew racked his brain. Mew suddenly had a brilliant idea, Team Super Cool, but June immediately called it out for being childish. Then they threw out names like the Giant Team, Tiger Team, or even the Legendary Team. June cut the talk since they were going nowhere. Jay felt like he was stuck with a total clown. Mew was still hung up on the name Super Cool. In his head, it was the best name ever. During English class the next day, Mew was still struggling to find the perfect name for the group. He was finding this incredibly difficult, a kind of pressure he had never experienced before. At break, they huddled up to brainstorm, and Mew pulled out the draft he'd stayed up making. Mew claimed there was no alternative but Super Cool. Jay snapped, refusing to accept such a dumb name. Mew challenged Jay to do better. Jay just replied, anything except for Super Cool. Mew was outraged. He thought the name was gold, and Jay wasn't even offering a real alternative. That's when Shel appeared behind Jay. Of course, he just kept ignoring her like usual. Pay attention here, because this girl wants in on the action, and things are about to get wild. June warned her it was dangerous, but Mew welcomed her instantly just because she was beautiful. He said all she needed was to know how to ride, and he'd take care of the rest. Clearly annoyed, the girl snapped back that her riding skills were actually top tier. Mia had been a wreck since she saw the new girl kiss Jay. Yuna tried to cheer her up. Mia tried to hide her pain, claiming she just wasn't feeling very well. Then Dom Kang crashed the party, telling her she just needed some energy and some loud hip-hop. Shelly joined the naming talk, which led Mew to suggest calling them the goddess and her minions. June couldn't believe it. His friend turned into a complete fool the second a girl was nearby. Dom Kang overheard and asked why they were leaving him out of their plans. You saw that too, right? He's making their night together sound way more scandalous than it actually was. Seeing her crush surrounded by his new crew, and that girl made Mia feel even more depressed. Mia stood there frozen. That girl was living the dream Mia had always wanted for herself. Yuna saw her friend's sinking mood, while Dom Kang was busy throwing a fit about joining the team. The blonde girl just stared at Mew. Now, all five of them were finally together trying to decide. Mew asked why Dom was still hanging around. Dom simply replied that he was officially on the team. Someone asked if he even owned a bike. Dom said he was looking for a used one online. Mew basically told him to come back and talk once he actually bought a bike. Since they were from the same school, they considered using its name, but quickly rejected it as silly. Shelly didn't hold back. She told them they were all absolutely pathetic at picking a name. While her grandfather kept a close eye on them, Mew still wouldn't let go of the super cool idea. Grandpa, who was the school principal, was clearly annoyed that she was hanging around all these boys again, but seeing her smile, he realized it had been a long time since she was this happy. The little bird was annoying Dom and Moo, who both thought it was just a giant bug. Someone suggested it was a hummingbird, but June pointed out those don't even exist in Korea. He explained it was probably a hawk moth, since people mix them up all the time. You and I just learned something. Those birds flap their wings 90 times per second and are total acrobatic masters. Alright, you and I are diving back into Windbreaker, as Minu obsesses over hummingbird wings while fighting for his smoothie. He starts wondering if a person could pedal a bike 90 times per second, they would probably outrun a motorcycle. He pictures himself cycling with hummingbird speed. Meanwhile, his random daydreaming is starting to annoy June, Jay, and Shelly. Dom Kang is just confused, demanding to know what birds have to do with anything. Now pay attention, because the race posters are officially everywhere, and people are starting to take notice. Big names are looking to enter, while some delusional dudes actually think they can win on a bike named Sina Chan. The word even reaches TJ, who finds the whole setup pretty interesting. Back in the classroom, Mia and Jay are cleaning the board when she drops. The big question is he really dating that exchange student? Jay is clearly not a fan of the gossip, asking Mia where she even heard that. Mia gets all flustered, explaining that the whole school is talking about it and she was just a little curious. Jay shuts it down, saying they aren't dating and wondering who's talking trash. Mia is visibly relieved, since she heard they were forming a crew. Jay clarifies it for her, it is a cycling team. Mia thinks that sounds amazing and asks for the name. Jay tells her they're called Hummingbird, which she thinks is just adorable. She asks if they have a logo yet. If not, she is more than happy to design one for them. Turns out, Mia wants to be a designer after graduation, so if Jay is down, she will create a custom emblem. Jay tells her to go for it. Mia is all smiles and blushes, thrilled that she gets to help him out. But Jay is back to being Jay, telling her to hurry up because he is ready to leave. Later, Mia mentions she's planning to buy a bike soon and asks if Jay could teach her to ride. Jay actually agrees, promising to help her whenever he has a bit of spare time. She's over the moon. After school, Jay heads straight to the shop to pick up his ride from repairs. Harry notes he's a bit late. Meanwhile, over at Dom Kang's place, the big guy finally gets home. His dad tries to pull him in for a drink, but Dom Kang is exhausted and has to work soon. The old man complains that his son could at least look happy to see him for once. Then he asks if Dom is a player with the girls at school. Dom just shuts that down immediately. His dad claims that back in his day, he was not so serious and actually knew how to have fun. One of the guys tells the father to stop bothering Dom Kang and goes back to eating. That's when Dom asks his dad for bike money so he can exercise. His father is surprised by the sudden interest in fitness and asks how much a bike even costs. One of his henchmen pipes up, saying 50,000 won should be enough for a decent ride. The father agrees and hands over the money, telling his son to buy a decent ride. Hearing the small amount, Dom Kang honestly thinks his dad is playing a joke on him. Where in the world is he supposed to find a bike for 50,000 won? That price is just beyond ridiculous to him. Now watch this. Dom Kang finds a bike online for 100,000 won. There are 0 pictures, which is a total red flag, but he decides to roll the dice anyway. A henchman tells him to message the seller. Dom gets shy, but tries to haggle the price down by half. He worries it might be a scam, but the guys insist nobody would pull a con over something this small. They promise to handle it if the seller runs off, but the guy replies instantly and agrees to the 50,000 won discount. Dom feels like he just hit the jackpot. Now he can finally join the crew. On the other end, the seller assumes he is talking to some broke kid with no money. The scammer is laughing, having already pocketed the cash from his latest victim. He's sure the kid won't even call the police over something as trivial as a bike. Meanwhile, Harry back at the bike shop is busy working. She's actually really happy Jay is joining the race with the guys. She hopes they make some legendary memories together. She tells Jay to take care of the bike, since that old chain was a disaster when his uncle gave it to him. The main goal now is keeping this thing in top shape. Harry explains it was a struggle to find all the parts, especially since Jay managed to destroy 7 front wheels already. She shows off the new carbon wheels. They are way lighter, which is going to give him a massive speed boost. But there's a catch: if carbon cracks, it is game over. He can't go riding like a maniac anymore. Trust me. You and I are about to see if Jay can actually handle this high-end gear without breaking it. Alright, you and I are jumping back into the action where Harry explains those wheels were just gathering dust, so Jay can pay her back after winning big. She really hoped they would take first place, mostly to clear his uncle's name after that messy doping scandal. With that, Harry made it crystal clear she knew exactly why Jay was so desperate to enter this competition. Elsewhere, Vinny's friend was laying into him for living like a total slob now that school was officially over. It was already dark out, and Vinny had spent the whole day sleeping. Cracking one eye open, he asked the time. His friend snapped that it was already 8:04 p.m., so since he wasn't dead, he needed to get moving. Since Vinny ghosted school and his phone, his worried friend showed up only to find him passed out in bed. Then, he handed over a note from Vinny's mother, who had apparently dropped by earlier that morning. She left 10,001 won, leaving Vinny wondering what to even do with it. Between a pack of smokes or a meal, that cash would vanish instantly. His friend dropped another bomb. The teacher warned that one more skipped class would lead to an immediate expulsion. Vinny was fuming about having to show up tomorrow just to stay in school, feeling like he might just quit. The second Vinny stepped onto school grounds. The staff member at the gate gave him a cold, hostile welcome. Now, pay attention here, because this guy was famous for being a total nightmare, using teaching methods so harsh they actually drove students away. He ranted about students being rebels, blaming kids like Vinny for why the entire school was falling apart these days. He made it terrifyingly clear if Vinny stepped out of line again, he was gone. He kept muttering about Vinny's bright hair, treating him like some kind of freak. Honestly, he couldn't even fathom how a kid like him got admitted. He was convinced Vinny would never graduate, and felt the school was just wasting resources on a lost cause. Truthfully, he wanted to expel Vinny on the spot, but then, Vinny's best friend arrived and stood his ground. Seeing such a respectable student, the man's aggressive tone did a total 180. The friend just stared down the fuming teacher before walking right past him as if the guy didn't even exist. Approaching Vinny, he asked if he was okay, but Vinny looked absolutely miserable. Everyone knew better than to lock eyes with Vinny or talk trash, because the payback would be brutal. He'd played the tough guy since childhood just to survive. Reaching the door, Vinny growled that he needed a word with the idiot staring from the window. Vinny told the guy to come outside while he was still feeling generous. The boy at the window stammered an apology, swearing it was just an accident and he meant no harm. You and I both know Vinny isn't playing around. He grabbed a chair, ready to deliver a brutal lesson so no one else would ever dare disrespect him again. Meanwhile, elsewhere on campus, the guys were still completely mesmerized by that stunning blonde exchange student. She was on the phone begging her dad to mail her bike because she was dying to go riding. While she was happily chatting away, Dom Kang was having a much harder time with his own phone call. He was desperately trying to reach the guy who sold him that bike. but now the dude was completely ghosting his calls and ignoring him. It was obvious the seller was intentionally dodging his messages. Yuna noticed his dead serious expression while he stayed glued to the screen. Meanwhile, Mia was totally distracted, focusing all her energy on sketching a hummingbird. Yuna asked what she was drawing, and Mia explained she was perfecting a design. When Yuna asked if it was some kind of logo, Mia confirmed it was a hummingbird brand design. Yuna mentioned her brother and Jay had finished their snacks and headed out pretty quickly. She asked if Mia knew their location, but Mia only heard them mentioning a competition application. Mia hadn't even realized her brother was planning to enter a race, but she figured since they were living together now, his skills would definitely skyrocket. She beamed, finally finishing her perfect sketch. All that was left was to show the boys and get their final thoughts on it. Elsewhere, the boys left the post office after mailing the form. Jay wondered if he really needed to come just to drop off an envelope. Mew insisted that since they were a team, they had to stick together. He asked if Jay wanted to just slack off at school while Mew did all the heavy lifting. Jay just told him to shut up. Feeling totally famished, Mew suggested they go grab something to eat before they headed back home. Jay snapped that he wasn't in the mood and would eat later. Mew realized there was just no pleasing this guy. And trust me, you and I can't miss what happens after Mew spots that weird, floral pink bike. Alright, you and I are about to meet a man who calls his bike Sina and treats her like a lady. He locks her up tight, showering his beloved bike with kisses and promising his darling that he will be back in a heartbeat. Just looking at this freak gives Mew the chills. He thinks this guy is beyond eccentric. Mew and Jay decide to bail since they are only on a quick class break and need to get back. But the cyclist overhears Mew calling his bike stupid and immediately snaps. Was he talking to him? The man demands to know why Mew insulted his superbike with such a mean name. He calls Mew a worthless human who has no right to label such a legendary machine. The two boys are totally weirded out. They figure this guy must be some kind of hardcore otaku. Furious, the man screams at Mew to take back every nasty word he said about his bike. He is so enraged he grabs Mew by the collar, spitting as he rants about strange names only an otaku would know. Mew looks to Jay for backup, but his friend just tells him to apologize so they can leave. Seeing no help coming, Mew caves and says he only said it because the bike was actually very pretty. The cyclist tells him to never look at her again, calling Mew a useless little brat. Now pay attention, because this otaku isn't just some weirdo. He is entering the street league with manga team, and Mew realizes they are rivals. The man adds that they can call his bike Senna-chan, because that is her proper name. Just like her owner, the bike is completely exotic with a unique name. The boys can't believe this guy is real. They pedal as fast as possible back to school before their break officially ends. On the way, they can't stop thinking about that freak. Jay jokes the bike must be his girlfriend, which triggered his rage. Mew looks at Jay but can't tell if he is joking, since Jay's face never shows any emotion. Suddenly, the man flies past them, mocking the two for being such slow schoolboys. The cyclist brags about the charming view of his bike's backside as he disappears. Mew has no clue who this arrogant guy is, especially on such a basic bike. To solve his problems, Dom Kang calls his father's henchman to explain he was scammed. This disrespect will not stand. They are a respected gang, and getting played online is a massive embarrassment for everyone. One henchman tells Dom Kang to just finish class peacefully, assuring him that they will handle everything. The henchmen summon another associate, explaining that someone had the nerve to steal their young master's money. Watch closely, because they are using a phone number and bank account to track this scammer down. He orders the associate to pass the intel to a hacker to pinpoint the swindler. The associate confirms finding him will be easy, since their hackers recently breached one of Korea's biggest credit card companies without a trace. He orders that once they have a location, they should bring extra men and some heavy tools to terrify the scammer. Dom Kang is fuming, regretting that he ever fell for an internet trap. He just hopes he can find the guy and confront him face to face. As Dom Kang thinks about this, his face darkens. When a hand touches his shoulder, he turns with a look so terrifying it scares his classmate, who just wanted to say Yuna was looking for him. Though he is still raging, just the thought of seeing Yuna puts Dom Kang in a much better mood. He can't stay serious when he sees Yuna's eyes, so he rushes over to find out what she needs. Approaching her, he asks exactly how he can be of service to her. She just wants to know why he seems so gloomy today. Yuna hands him a piece of gum to calm his nerves, telling him to stop stressing and enjoy some sugar. To Dom Kang, that gum is absolutely incredible. It feels like a gift from the goddess herself. Dom Kang tells Yuna he is only miserable because she won't give him a kiss. Annoyed by the comment, Yuna gently strokes his face before landing a solid punch. Meanwhile, the scammer is happily riding his bike, wearing a helmet, and snacking on treats he just bought. He bought them with the cash he stole from the fool who fell for his cheap bike trick. Now he is feasting on 50,000 won sent by the gullible buyer. Heading back to his hideout, the scammer feels completely ecstatic. He plans to sneak in quietly to avoid the landlord asking for the rent money. He thinks he can slip by unnoticed, but something feels very wrong the moment he gets home. The door has been forced open and his place invaded. Fearing a robbery, he rushes inside. But inside, he finds suited men with heavy tools. Trust me, you and I are going to love seeing what happens next. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a small-time scammer messes with the absolute wrong person. Shaking like a leaf, the guy drops his groceries in the dark as he realizes his tiny apartment is full of dangerous strangers. He arrived home to find a room full of suits demanding to know exactly why he decided to trick their young master. Before he can even blink, he's tied to a chair, helmet still on, and totally unable to say a word. One of the heavy hitters points a finger in his face, warning him that he swindled the most dangerous person possible. The henchman gets right in his personal space, telling him if he wants to play con artist, he better prepare for the consequences. Even the lead bodyguard is clearly annoyed, complaining that coming to a dump like this is a total waste of his time. He tells the captive to sit tight, because once their young master arrives, this whole situation is going to get very, very expensive. Basically, this guy just bought himself a one-way ticket to disaster for a measly 50,001 won. As the goons surround the chair, the man of the hour, Dom Kang, finally makes his grand entrance. The goons bow as Dom walks in looking absolutely murderous. He has spent the entire day hunting down the guy who had the nerve to scam him. The thief looks up from his seat, staring at the teenage boy standing right in front of him. Now pay attention here, he thinks Dom is just a kid, not realizing why these scary men follow his every command. The cyclist starts trembling even harder when Dom reaches into his pocket, looking like he's about to pull out a weapon. But Dom isn't grabbing a knife, he's reaching for his most prized possession, his only comfort after a really upsetting day. The scammer is already sobbing in the chair, just waiting for the absolute worst to happen next. The scammer waits for a weapon to emerge, but he's baffled by the sudden change in Dom Kang's face when he pulls out nothing but a single caramel candy, making the serious young master look totally amazed. The sight is so weird and unexpected that the guy literally stops crying out of pure confusion. One of the men breaks the silence, asking what they should actually do with the prisoner. Dom just keeps chewing, totally lost in the flavor of the candy Yuna gave him earlier. Finally, he locks eyes with the scammer again, his face turning serious as he asks where the bike he bought is. One of the henchmen points out the bike in the corner, and Dom sees it looks brand new. He walks over and actually starts talking to the bike, saying he's not sure what's going on. He's genuinely thrilled because the ride is in flawless condition and only cost him 50,001 won. I know what you're thinking, the real owner is sitting right there, probably dying inside seeing Dom touch his bike. You can see the pure agony on his face as he watches his pride and joy being claimed. The bodyguard just watches, thinking something must have gone great today for Dom to be in such a good mood. Dom is basically glowing, completely satisfied with the massive steal he just pulled off. Dom is so happy with the deal that he tells the guy since he's quitting cycling, he won't be needing the helmet anymore either. Delighted with his new gear, Dom says he's taking the bike, and the scammer is free to leave. The bodyguard just sighs, feeling a bit let down by how soft his young boss is. The cyclist is now bawling his eyes out, but not from fear, he's just devastated to lose his ride. The lead henchman tells the guy he's lucky to be alive and orders his men to untie him. Later on, the guy is found buried neck deep in a soft patch of dirt, looking like a human plant. He's not alone though, as several local cats surround him, ready to play. Back at Jay's place, Mew is begging for some computer time, but Jay is busy trying to attend his online classes. Suddenly, Mew catches a strange sound coming from the window and asks Jay if he heard the noise outside too. Jay, suffering from a heavy cold, just grumbles that it's probably just another stray cat or something. Mew isn't buying it. He opens the window and finds Dom Kang beaming with joy, showing off his brand new trophy bike. Mew is instantly hyped, thrilled to see his friend's lucky new find. Jay can't ignore a high-end bike, and he's at the window in seconds to check out the commotion. Before long, all three of them are standing outside in the yard admiring the new acquisition. Mew takes it for a spin, but something feels familiar. He's sure he's seen this bike on the streets somewhere before. He turns to Dom. Mew wonders if the bike was expensive and asks for the price. Feeling proud of himself, Dom tells them he bargained the whole thing down to just 50,001 won on a used goods site. Jay and Mew just stand there, their faces showing they don't believe a single word of it. Dom gets nervous, asking if he overpaid, while the other two examine the bike one more time. It's in mint condition, so they demand to know what kind of threat he used to get that price. And that's where we leave it. Dom just repeats the scammer's lie, convinced he simply found a seller who wanted out. Alright, you and I are diving into the grind with Jay, who's ditching his friends to study since his grades are crashing. Now that he finally had a bike, Dom Kang realized he had zero clue how to actually ride it. Mew suggested that Dom Kang start by practicing skidding to handle a fixed gear bike, but looking at his face, Mew knew he was speaking a foreign language. Getting hyped, Mew explained that skidding is just using pure leg strength to lock that rear wheel and stop the bike. Seeing that his words weren't hitting home, Mew decided to just show him, telling Dom Kang to watch and learn before pulling off the move with total ease. Feeling way too confident, Dom Kang figured he had it mastered just by watching and got ready to try. He couldn't even get his feet on the pedals right, leading one friend to roast him for being totally unskilled. But Dom Kang wasn't quitting, determined to figure out how to make this bike work for him. After several minutes just trying to lock his feet in place to start pedaling, Dom Kang set off wobbling and was exhausted almost immediately. Now pay attention here, he decides to ride a brakeless bike down a steep hill. Minhu told him to try skidding like they practiced, but Dom Kang realized he was already losing control of the bike. There was no way he could let it crash, so he desperately tried to pedal in the opposite direction. He shouted that it wasn't working at all as the pedals started spinning way too fast for him to stop, flying down the hill while screaming for his life. His legs were just moving on their own now, and after the inevitable crash, Mu realized his friend had zero athletic talent. Mu figured it would be a much better idea to just take him to a shop tomorrow and install some actual brakes. Another morning at Sunny High begins, with students getting ready for another long day of intense studying and school drama. The girls were huddled together, complaining about their looks and trying to use makeup to cover up any tiny imperfections. Meanwhile, some of the more adventurous students were spending their free time shredding on skateboards all around the campus. One group of girls was busy whispering about how they wished Mu would finally notice the feelings they had for him. As a skateboarder zoomed past the girls, the wind from his speed caused their skirts to fly up, and the guy felt pretty smug after catching a glimpse of pink and white underwear. But the three girls were definitely not fans of his perverted little stunt. They got even angrier when they realized that the wind lifting their skirts wasn't an accident at all. This orange-haired kid was intentionally trying to peek, and he was getting a huge kick out of the whole thing. He noted that white underwear seemed to be a trend, but you and I know his real target is that blonde exchange student, Shel. She was right there in the group, being as friendly and social as she always seemed to be. This orange-haired guy was now completely obsessed and incredibly interested in the beautiful blonde girl. Performing some insane skateboarding tricks, he seemed totally fired up as he adjusted his hair, which was the one thing he always used to grab everyone's attention. Feeling more confident than ever, he decided it was finally time to make his move on the girl who brought him so much joy, but he couldn't even reach her before being cornered by girls who hated his stunts. They were totally fed up once they realized that the wind lifting their skirts was a deliberate act on his part. One of the girls decided to greet his stomach with some light punches. The others joined in to happily stomp on the boy so he could feel the love, while the rest of the group surrounding Michelle were busy admiring the logo Mia designed. Mia had been working hard on this logo, specifically to impress Jay. Mia showed her notebook to everyone, and Mu, being a total gentleman, took her hands and told her the logo was stunning. He claimed the team would win because of it, but Yuna told her brother to stop using the logo as an excuse to hold hands. Mu was annoyed because Yuna was making him sound like a total creep in front of everyone. Shel stepped closer to get a better look, saying Mia was a great artist and asking to see the logo up close. But Mia was still holding a massive grudge over that kiss with Jay and refused to let Shel even touch her drawing. Seeing the cold shoulder, Shel finally asked Mia what her actual problem was with her. Things got so awkward that even Minhu, who usually misses everything, could tell that these two girls were about to go at it. Still, Mu was thrilled since they finally had a perfect team logo, even if the mood had shifted quite a bit. Minhu asked Jay if he liked the design since he was being quiet, and Jay just gave a cold, short yes. Mia felt a wave of satisfaction and told Jay how happy she was. She made it just for him, but in the distance, you and I can see Dom Kang looking totally lost and disoriented. Alright, you and I are diving into the life of Dom Kang, who just stumbled into class looking absolutely wrecked. He's clinging to the desks just to reach his seat. The whole class is staring. Did he get jumped? Was he in a massive brawl? They can't tell if he's hurt or just struggling to stay upright. He tries to smile, but he's clearly drained. Turns out, he was out all night practicing skidding until his legs literally gave out on him. Now, he's determined to buy brakes after class. Riding a bike without them was starting to feel like a death wish, and he's officially spooked. Mu is more worried about the bike's safety, though. He asks Dom Kang where he left it, and if it's even locked up properly. A sore but grinning Dom Kang tells him not to sweat it. No thief would ever be dumb enough to touch that bike. Outside, the bike is tied to a massive Rottweiler. It's causing a huge scene, with everyone walking by stopping to stare in shock. People can't help but admire the bike itself. The colors and the dynamic design are perfectly matched, making it a total head-turner. But the second anyone gets too close, that Rottweiler starts growling, ready to shred anyone who tries to lay a finger on it. Now pay attention, because this is peak Dom Kang logic. While everyone outside is terrified of the beast, he's the mastermind who thought a massive guard dog was the absolute perfect security system. Honestly, his behavior even rattles Jay. Even after all this time, Jay still can't wrap his head around this guy. Even when Dom plays it cool, Jay can't hide his shock at these bizarre stunts. Mia doesn't care about the bike or the dog though. She has eyes for one person only. She works up the nerve to ask Jay if he can spend his weekend teaching her how to ride a bike. Yuna jumps in to back her up, reminding Jay that Mia spent hours researching their team logo, so he's basically in her debt. So, as a thank you, he really should teach her. Jay, being his usual indifferent self, just shrugs and says he'll keep his word. Mia is absolutely glowing. Her plan to get some alone time with Jay is finally coming together. But then the exchange student, Shel, shuts it down fast. She tells Mia to stop right there because Jay isn't exactly free for her to borrow. Shel doesn't care about the tension. She's got plans for the weekend too, and she's not about to be left out of the fun. Then there's Dom Kang, getting all hyped up and announcing that he's joining the practice session as well. Mew isn't about to let Jay be the only guy there. He says they'll all train together. Yuna just watches, thinking these boys are completely brainless. You and I see the problem. Mia's private date just turned into a crowded team practice session. Mew looks over at June, thinking about inviting him, but figures he's too busy grinding for his college entrance exams. But June isn't studying. He's glued to his phone, deep diving into their competition stats. In this world, knowing your enemy is just as important as skill. June spots one rider who stands out, tearing it up on a 5-speed bike. This guy is actually training in their city right now, gearing up for the exact same championship as Jay's team. This athlete was hitting speeds between 89 and 92 kilometers per hour. But when he really pushes it, he hits 97 kilometers. He's always on downhill courses, with a car following close behind to film every second. These sessions are streamed live so the whole world can see just how powerful this guy really is. In his latest run, he reached an insane speed of 102 kilometers per hour. June is genuinely shaken by this. He's never heard of anyone hitting those numbers. Meanwhile, Dom Kang finally brings his bike to the shop to get those brakes installed. Harry finishes up the work, adding front brakes to make sure Dom doesn't end up a total wreck next time. Dom Kang is over the moon. Finally, he can ride without feeling like he's going to die. Jay was the one who recommended the shop, but even he didn't realize the girl from the webcast was actually the manager. Mew asks her straight up if she's the famous streamer who also happens to run this entire bike shop. She laughs it off, saying the streams are just for fun. Her real life is here at the shop, which her father owns. Harry asks why they're hanging around, instead of training for the big race. Moo, trusting Jay's skills completely, claims that with Jay on their team, victory is guaranteed. But then June interrupts. He's been tracking the rankings and checking the stats. He warns them that if they don't get serious, they won't even survive the preliminaries. June's presence definitely makes the vibe feel heavy. Mew wants to know if June hangs out here often. June responds that he's a regular, and today he just came in for some routine maintenance and a tire replacement. Dom Kang is just happy to see his friends all hanging out in one spot. To him, this place is basically their new clubhouse. Mew worries about June obsessing over rivals instead of studying for his big exams. And trust me, we're about to see June's research. You and I won't believe these power rankings. Alright, stick with me because we are about to see a cyclist pull off something absolutely insane. Honestly, the group could not believe their eyes who actually reaches those speeds on a bike. Harry, the expert manager of the shop, stepped in to break it down. She explained that hitting 100 kilometers per hour on a 5.1 gear is only possible with a lead car breaking the wind. In those specific conditions, any pro could hit that mark. No, she dropped a bomb. The new world record for speed is actually over 200 kilometers per hour. Mew was blown away by human potential and immediately asked June who the rider in the video actually was. June did some digging and found out he is known as Monster 13, a former high school football legend from America. Back then, he was the star quarterback wearing number 13, carrying his entire team on his back like a literal beast. But then, tragedy struck. A brutal game injury ruined his knee, ending his dreams of playing in the States and forcing him to return to Korea in constant pain. To fix his body, he started cycling every single day as a form of rehab. What started as physical therapy turned into an obsession, transforming him into an absolute monster on 2 wheels. Now, he has built the monster team to dominate the upcoming big competition. He is considered the heavy favorite to win. June explained that street cyclists and competitive racers actually use completely different muscles. These athletes have bodies that are specifically built for the high intensity of track cycling. Now watch this part. Beating Monster 13 is not something you do just by talking a big game with friends. Mew felt totally discouraged, thinking they stood zero chance against a powerhouse like that in a real race. Poor Dom Kang had nothing to add since he literally just bought his first bike. Seeing them so demoralized, Harry decided it was time to introduce them to the world of training rollers. She led them to the back, ready to explain how these machines would actually sharpen their skills. When they entered the training room, the level of detail left them speechless. They had never seen anything like it before. Harry explained that the team uses this space to master pedaling techniques and test their endurance under perfect conditions. Training here would reveal the best riding posture for each of them to maximize their raw power. Even though he was a total rookie, Dom Kang was hyped to try it first. But the second he hopped on the rollers, he started losing control immediately. That failure alone was a massive hit to his ego. As he tried to pedal, it was obvious he was fighting for his life just to make one rotation. He was wobbling everywhere, and the grinding noise from the bike proved he was nowhere near in control of it. He never imagined that using a bike on a roller could be this complicated, especially with the raw strength required, as his bike started shaking wildly. Harry stepped in to help, explaining that the shaking happened because he was gripping the handlebars way too tight. She told him to relax his shoulders, promising it would make the bike much easier to stabilize. Even with the expert advice, he was still struggling. It sounded easy when she said it, but the reality was a whole different story. You feel that frustration, right? But then Dom Kang looks over and sees that Jay has his bike on a roller, pedaling like it is second nature. When asked for his secret, Jay revealed he had been practicing this since he was a kid alongside his uncle. Mew complained that it was totally unfair how Jay seemed to be a natural at every single thing. June just smiled and added that Jay is truly amazing, which is exactly why he is the team ace. The mechanic even noticed his upper body was rock steady. He was in the zone. Anyone can push a pedal, but moving with that kind of natural flow takes years of dedicated practice. Watching him, Harry realized Jay truly inherited the legendary talent of his uncle, the great Mahanjo. The beautiful mechanic had to go help another customer, but told the boys to keep hitting the trainers whenever possible. Once they mastered the rollers, she wanted to see them on the streets. After a dozen tries, Dom Kang was totally gassed and frustrated that it was this hard. Mew was also dripping in sweat. He was doing better than Dom, but his stamina was fading fast. And trust me, you and I can see it on his face. Mew finally realized that there is so much more to elite cycling than just sitting and pedaling. Alright, you and I are watching a guy who can't even skid yet, but man, he's trying. Even though he was totally wiped out, Dom Kang couldn't stop dreaming about hitting the road tomorrow. Mew wants to impress Yuna, so he asks Dom what he even sees in his sister, since he thinks she's just an ugly cow. Dom wasn't having it, firing back that his crush looked absolutely nothing like some farm animal. Mew couldn't grasp why only weirdos liked his sister, but that reveal? It hit Dom like a freight train. He never imagined his crush was Moo's sister. Moo found the whole reaction strange, since the two are literally identical twins. Up until this second, Dom was clueless, and now he was getting hyped while refusing to believe the truth. There had to be a mistake. How could they be siblings when they looked nothing alike to him? Maybe they shared a slight resemblance, but Mew was shocked that Dom really hadn't suspected they were related until this very moment. Watch this. Dom starts acting totally bizarre, jumping right in Moo's face and scaring the life out of him. Suddenly, Dom is standing there calling him brother. Mew is just embarrassed and annoyed by the whole weird scene. Things got so awkward that even the other guys stopped their bikes, just to see the train wreck unfolding. Even Jay, who's always buried in his books, stopped pedaling and studying to see what the drama was about. Meanwhile, Mia is fresh out of the shower and drying her hair. She spots her bike and remembers Jay's promise to teach her. She sees it as a perfect chance for them to bond, hoping she'll ride properly tomorrow just to make him proud. The big day Mia was waiting for finally arrived. She's at the park where Jay is finally going to teach her how to ride. Mia and Shelley are sitting on a bench, waiting. Dom walks up with a bag full of yogurts, hoping to bring some good vibes to the girls. He lets them pick their flavors. One goes for strawberry, while the other wants the traditional kind. Shelley, being her rebellious self, just tosses the yogurt lid without licking it. This really annoys Dom, who wanted that lid himself. He calls her out, saying she shouldn't have thrown it away without giving it a lick first. He asks if she even knows yogurt etiquette, but Shelley just ignores him and refuses to touch the lid. Okay, I know what you're thinking, but Dom goes all in. He shows her exactly how to lick the lid properly. Shelley is totally grossed out. Dom licks that thing until it literally shines, making her stomach turn even more. Getting defensive, he fires back that this is how every normal person eats their yogurt. Mia tries to console him, saying she eats it the same way. Then Yuna arrives with the boys and sees Mia's group. Her brother walks by and messes up her hair just to annoy her. Jay, being his usual self, doesn't even notice. As for Yuna, she's not paying any attention to Jay, either. Mew rolls in cracking jokes with the girls while Mia stands up and waves, desperately hoping Jay sees her. Shelley wants attention but stays seated. Dom, being both a gentleman and a goof, stands up and gives everyone a big bow. He's super eager to show Yuna his new skills, explaining that he stayed up all night practicing just to show her his progress. But Yuna just tells him to stop trying so hard to look cool. He says he practiced, but her expectations are basically zero. Dom really needs to find a way to impress her. So, he decides to pull a stunt to win her over. At first, everything actually looks pretty good. He's going for it, looking like a total cycling master. He goes for a skid, but he's really just mastered hurting himself. Lacking both luck and skill, he completely fails the long skid. His lack of skill leads to a painful accident that he feels right in the lower regions. Dom just can't handle the agony. He quickly jumps off and starts rolling around like a total child. Watching him squirm, Yuna jokes that his training really paid off because he's a natural at bike comedy. She says he shouldn't try so hard. Ignoring all the drama, Mia keeps her eyes locked onto Jay. She walks up and asks if her bike seat is too high. Getting serious, Jay explains that a low seat makes pedaling tough. Mia just nods, promising to get used to whatever setup he suggests. Trying to be sweet, Mia tells Jay to hold the back of the seat so she doesn't take a tumble. Avoiding any actual contact, he tells her he's got a firm grip on the seat and they can finally start. Trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see if Mia's plan actually works next time. Shelly's just staying put. Let's dive in. Mia keeps begging Jay not to let go of her. He tells her to quit being so scared and actually start pedaling since he is doing all the work. Jay warns that tensing her shoulders will ruin her balance, so she needs to relax her upper body. Mia has no clue how to ride. She wobbles everywhere, pedals strangely, and keeps throwing herself onto Jay. He keeps telling her to center her weight and just stop being so incredibly stiff. Her stiffness makes helping impossible. She fakes embarrassment just to keep his attention on her. Meanwhile, Shelly is getting more and more annoyed because Jay is completely ignoring her presence. Finally snapping, she mutters she can't take it anymore. Shelly marches up to Mia and demands she stop flirting. As Minu looks straight ahead, his mind starts drifting back to his childhood days. He thinks about the days spent riding bikes with his sisters, especially when he taught his youngest sister to ride. Yuna used to tease him, saying their dad only bought the bike for babysitting duties. Still, he loved those moments. He recalls a highly skilled boy once riding past them like a total pro. His little sister was completely blown away by how fast and agile that stranger was. Now pay attention here, that brief encounter is what inspired Mew to train hard to match that stranger's skill. Mew told his sisters to hold on tight as he pedaled with everything he had. Those precious memories of them together leave Minu feeling surprisingly calm and at peace. Back in the present, Shel asks Jay for a lesson, claiming she forgot how to ride. Jay is sweating, just trying to avoid the drama. Jay bluntly points out that he heard her bragging about her amazing cycling skills just a little while ago. Mia snaps back at Shelly, telling her to stop flirting so they can finish the lesson. Shelly asks if Mia is actually learning or just looking for an excuse to spend the day groping him. Mia is absolutely offended. She insists she barely touched him and denies making any kind of inappropriate contact. She orders Shelly to stop lying. Seeing the chaos, Mew steps in to fix things by suggesting they switch their partners. Mew will teach Mia, while Jay takes a much-needed break with Shelly. Shelly completely loses track of the bickering and takes full advantage of having Jay all to herself for a moment. She puts her sunglasses on Jay to see how they look before swapping for his glasses. The strong prescription lenses make her dizzy, so she can only wear them for a second. Jay is not amused and demands his glasses back, but Shelly stubbornly refuses to give them up. Okay, you and I both see it. Mia is looking on with a deep wave of total disappointment. It looks like Jay is having way more fun with Shelly. Minu notices her sudden mood shift. The sad girl quietly admits to him that it has nothing to do with his teaching. However, Minu's sister, Yuna, is standing right behind them and she clearly hates where this is going. Annoyed, she asks why Minu is teaching Mia. He explains he and Jay just swapped places. Yuna grinds her teeth and warns her brother not to try anything funny with her friend. Dom Kang suddenly appears, saluting Mu as the boss and declaring he will take care of Yuna so Mu can have fun. Mew finds the title weird and asks him to stop, but Dom only cares about Mew's sister. Dom tells Mew to go have fun with Mia, which just makes Yuna even more irritated by the disruption. Dom explains he calls Mew boss because he already feels like a part of the family. Showing her own kind of affection, Yuna reaches out and grabs Dom by the neck. She prepares to give his face a gentle punch. Meanwhile, Mia settles for her new instructor. Eventually, Mia starts crying because she feels untalented. Mew explains that cycling is about effort, not just raw talent. He tells her that her fear of falling is the only thing truly holding her back. Mia stays silent and looks down, seemingly agreeing with everything her new teacher is saying. The real problem is her timidity. If she stays this scared, she will never move forward or truly become a great cyclist. Mia looks away, suddenly remembering how her classmates used to bully her back in school. And that's where we leave it. She stayed silent through the bullying just to keep her friends happy. Stick with me. Mia's sad memories were only making things worse. Mew pushed her forward, warning that giving up now meant letting fear win later. He touched her helmet, telling her not to fear a little fall. No matter what, she needed to hold on to her confidence. The first time is always scary, but once it is done, it is easy. His words comforted Mia, making her want to be brave. She was determined not to let fear stop her from cycling beside Jay. Mew was genuinely happy to see Mia's newfound fire and determination. He would not give up on her. He stayed right there, holding the bike while she tried to find her balance. With constant encouragement, Mew told her she was close. Just a little more effort, and she would finally see results. Mew told her not to look down, just keep eyes forward and pedal hard. Now focused and distraction-free, Mia was moving. Even with some fear, she felt safe knowing Mew was right there. Satisfied with her progress, Mew could tell she finally had the hang of it. He urged her to keep pedaling. Mia agreed, but begged him to keep holding on just a bit longer. Now pay attention when Mia called out and looked back. She realized Mew was already some distance away. Mew cheered her on, and everyone watched in total shock as her hard work finally paid off. Yuna was thrilled for her friend. Dom Kang noticed Mia was riding completely on her own. Shelly was a bit jealous, acting like riding a bike was nothing special since everyone could do it. Jay gave Shelly a look of pure disgust. He did not say a word, but he did not have to. Meanwhile, Mew was beaming with pride. Mia was winning, and he knew he was an incredible teacher. Mia really had it down. She was riding solo without any help, and it felt amazing. This was a victory she earned herself. When she returned, Mew told her she was officially a rider. He teased that getting the hang of it had not been that hard after all. Now they could finally go on a group ride. Mia was so happy Mew recognized her effort and patience. But you and I knew this vibe would not last. Jay just shut them down with a single glance. With a cold glare, Jay told them they looked too comfortable before announcing he was out. Mew was confused by the sudden attitude. Jay's vibe was so sour that the whole group just fell apart. All Mew wanted was for everyone to stay together and enjoy a nice ride. Mia felt let down. Just when she learned to ride so she could finally join them, Jay was already leaving. Yuna said it was a bummer, but figured they should probably head out too. Mia was proud of herself, but agreed it was time to go. Yuna noticed Dom Kang was still standing there. He offered to walk her home since he was not busy. Yuna said she would just take a taxi, but Dom insisted on waiting until she was safe inside one. Yuna walked ahead while Dom followed as a guard. Eventually, Dom was getting pretty tired. He asked her to watch the bike while he ran into a store for a drink. Dom offered to get her something, but she just wanted him to stop following her. Nearby, some boys were complaining about missing out on something, just wanting to head home in peace. One headed into the convenience store, leaving his 3 friends waiting outside. They were annoyed that their school was the only one forcing them to study on weekends. While waiting, one of the guys spotted Yuna alone across the street holding her bike. He told his friends she looked pretty good, and they asked if he was going to make a move. With a smug smile, he told them to watch as he headed over to talk to her. Yuna was annoyed at her phone, wondering why Dom was taking so long. Suddenly, someone called out to her. She looked up to find a guy calling her pretty and demanding her phone number. Yuna just acted like he was invisible, completely ignoring his existence. The guy would not take a hint, pestering her for her number. Annoyed, Yuna finally told him she was not interested. Trust me, you and I can see he did not take that rejection well. Alright, you and I are jumping into a scene where things get ugly fast when these punks start filming Yuna being harassed. The creep loses it, screaming at Yuna to repeat herself while claiming he has every right to demand her phone number. He tells her to drop the act, calling her vulgar and pretending like she is the one in the wrong. He keeps spewing insults, but watch closely because this is the exact moment his luck finally runs out. The trash talking stops instantly when a heavy hitter arrives to put this guy exactly where he belongs. The beatdown is so brutal and precise that the punks watching from across the street are literally frozen in shock. This loser thought he could harass a girl and walk away, but he just got a painful reality check. Dom Kang is the one serving up justice, making sure this bully understands that his behavior has zero place here. Dom flips his cap off, revealing a look of pure rage that says one thing: nobody touches Yuna and gets away with it. One hard lesson later, and our loudmouth bully is nothing more than a heap on the cold pavement. The other guys are clueless and fuming, somehow finding a way to blame Yuna for their friend getting wrecked. Yuna catches their hateful glares and starts to shake, sensing that this nightmare is only getting started, especially since Dom is clearly in a dark mood and looks ready to crack more skulls if they keep staring. Now, you and I both know numbers mean nothing against a monster like Dom. He moves so fast they are being educated before they can even blink. This clown needed a crash course in basic human decency and a reminder to respect women. Dom Kang is the ultimate enforcer here, making sure every single disrespectful comment is met with a swift punch to the face. Bit by bit, the message starts sinking in: bothering girls who want nothing to do with you is a very bad idea. Dom is a pro at handling anyone who crosses Yuna, even while she screams for him to stop before he ends up in jail. But Dom isn't finished yet, not until this guy's trashy attitude is thoroughly beaten out of him. Next, Dom turns his terrifying gaze toward the third guy, because the job isn't done until everyone gets their turn. The last punk is shaking and sweating buckets, knowing he is next, until Yuna begs Dom one more time to let it go. She is paralyzed by the thought of the police showing up, so the two of them walk away in a heavy silence. Yuna is fuming over the violence, while Dom is brooding over his own lack of control until she finally snaps and calls a cab. Dom is confused, asking if she is seriously mad at him just for stepping up and ending the harassment. Yuna hits him with a hard yes, reminding him she has told him 1,000 times to stop playing the judge and jury. Dom asks if she expected him to just stand there while she was insulted, but Yuna insists his brutal methods are way too extreme. Frustrated, Dom asks if she honestly thinks he should have just done nothing at all. Yuna goes quiet because she knows he is right, but her pride won't let her accept him meddling in her personal life like this. That is when Dom Kang drops a heavy truth, telling Yuna that since she grew up like a sheltered princess, she probably views him as just another thug. He walks away, coldly wishing her a safe trip home. Back at the scene, that coward who ran from the store is frantically dialing his phone, leaving his groceries behind. He is calling in reinforcements, whining to a dangerous friend about how his 3 buddies just got destroyed in a 1 versus 3 fight. The problem is, these punks are connected to Vinny, a guy notorious for being the spark that starts every major war. The voice on the other end confirms the hit, giving him his word that they are going to handle this personally. Vinny's right-hand man tells him the news, saying that some random guy has been messing with their crew. Vinny hates the sound of that. He crushes his cigarette and decides it is time to handle this business face to face. The caller rushes back to his 3 beaten friends on the bench, who are all looking pathetic and defeated after the brawl. They actually have the nerve to feel like victims, thinking it was unfair that they got caught and punished. The one guy who escaped says they deserved it for bothering those girls, explaining he only survived because one of the girls kicked him. The main instigator snaps back, calling him a total coward for tucking tail and running when things got real. He then questions why they even bothered calling in Vinny and Son at such a weird hour for this. He is worried about their reputation, knowing how embarrassing it looks that one guy soloed their entire group. Suddenly, Vinny arrives, barking an order to let the kid go. The guy is so terrified he literally collapses to the floor. Trembling on the pavement, the punk looks up and sees Vinny the monster, whose voice alone just made his legs give out. Vinny demands to know where the boy is, and trust me, you and I aren't ready for what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving back into the heat of this street racing drama. The kid says the guy vanished by the time he woke up, and Vinny is not having it. Son realizes that the mysterious person who just schooled them was actually just another student. One of the guys who got taken down admits he did not get a good look, but he specifically remembers long hair and a notorious band-aid under the nose. Beyond those 2 things, his mind is just a total blank. Luckily, one of them has something much more useful. While the boy was hitting on the girl, a friend snapped a candid photo for a laugh. Now they have a visual. They assume the girl with the bike is the target's girlfriend. The quality is trash though, making it almost impossible to recognize anyone. Son wonders if this grainy photo is even useful. The boy in the shot, still salty about getting rejected, is fuming that his friends were busy taking pictures of his failure. Vinny stares at the bike in the photo and realizes he can use it to track them down. Now pay attention, because this phone call sets everything in motion. Vinny tells Son to send the image over so he can call an old friend. That friend is currently grinding on a bike treadmill, pushing himself to reach top speeds. When his phone rings, he immediately starts complaining. He absolutely hates being interrupted while he is in the zone. He stops for a second to wipe the sweat away and answer. As soon as he sees Vinny's name, he is already annoyed. Vinny just tells him to shut up and take a look at the photo. Vinny asks if anyone on his team rides that specific bike. TJ says he has never seen anyone in his entire crew using a trail bike like that. TJ wants to know why Vinny is even bothering him with this. Vinny describes the guy with the long hair and the band-aid. TJ starts running through his mental list of rivals. Combining the long hair with that band-aid? Only one person in the entire city fits that description. It is the student council president's friend from Sunny School. TJ immediately passes that intel over to Vinny. Vinny is intrigued to hear the guy is from Sunny School. TJ is looking pretty smug after cracking the case. This kid is a close friend of Jay, the student council president that TJ hates for beating him before. You and I can see that laugh means trouble. TJ is definitely plotting something. Staring at the bike, he admits he has no clue what is happening, but he is just glad Vinny is not after him. Next morning, Dom Kang walks into class glued to his phone. His buddies call him Mr. Tough Guy and invite him to hit the rollers after school. Dom Kang has to pass though, because he has got a work shift tonight. Mew is clearly disappointed. Dom offers to train alone later if he can sneak away from his job for a bit. Jay tells Mew to get out of his classroom. Mew fires back that this room belongs to everyone. It is a shared space for the whole school. Jay just says he stays out of other rooms because he has no reason to be there. Their classmates are already whispering that the 2 of them are having another lover's quarrel. The rumors are spreading fast. Shel rushes up and snaps a picture of Jay before he can react. Jay is not a fan and asks what she is doing. She calls him handsome and says she wants to show her friends in England she found a crush. She needs the photo to convince them he is her boyfriend and then casually asks if he is cool with it. Jay gives a hard no. But it is too late, she already posted the selfie to her profile for the world to see. She shows him the screen again, saying it is a shame since the post is already live. Mia arrives at the classroom feeling totally satisfied because she and her friend Yuna are going to see a movie tomorrow. Yuna walks in and locks eyes with Dom Kang, who looks just as annoyed to see her. The 2 girls walk past him without a word. Even Dom, who usually brightens up when Yuna is around, is keeping his guard up this time. To dodge the awkwardness, Dom says he is exhausted and crashes for a nap. Mew can definitely feel the tension in the air. Neither of them is talking. Mia notices the cold shoulder and asks Yuna if something went down between her and Dom. Yuna looks miserable, so Mia asks if they had a fight. Visibly upset, Yuna just snaps that it is nothing. Glancing at Dom slumped over his desk, Yuna adds that they are not even close enough to fight. Outside, Dom's guard dog is keeping a loyal eye on his bike. When Dom finally shows up, the dog goes wild with excitement at the sound of his name. Dom named his dog Jordan. He thanks his four-legged bodyguard for doing such a good job protecting the bike. Dom tells Jordan they are skipping class and heading home early. But the second he unclips the leash, Jordan bolts. Stick with me to see if Dom can catch his dog before he loses his cool. No matter how loud he yells, Jordan just won't stop. Alright, you and I are about to watch Dom strap Jordan to his back and ride off like a madman. Everyone was staring at the crazy sight of him pedaling with a dog that size on his shoulders. Dom tells his furry friend, "Stay put this time. It is dangerous out here and I do not want you getting hurt." Class ends and everyone heads home. But outside, 3 thugs are lying in wait. They are hoping to spot a certain someone leaving school grounds before the day is over. Since they go to a different school, they hung around Sunny High, hunting for Dom. But the leader of the group was coming up empty-handed. Suddenly, he spots the girl he tried to hit on yesterday. It is Yuna. Walking home with her friend Mia, Yuna is feeling down because Dom left early. The thug just smiles when he sees her and alerts his crew. Meanwhile, Mia is trying to get Yuna to talk about why Dom is acting so weird lately. Mia wants answers, but Yuna just shrugs it off. Apparently, this is not the first time Dom has ditched class. Yuna tells her not to sweat it, but Mia can only hope that their friend is actually okay. Stick with me here, because those 3 guys just cut them off. One punk asks Yuna if she remembers them. A terrified Mia asks who they are. Meanwhile, Dom is at the club, using his free time to master cycling tricks. His bodyguards are timing him. He is shattering records and pulling off insane stunts. It is clear that Dom is taking this bike stuff seriously now. He wants to join a team and impress his friends. That is why he is training so hard. He is finally getting the hang of the standing move, even if it is tough. Suddenly, his phone rings at a very weird hour. Dom pulls it out and sees it is Mia calling. She sounds like she is in total, soul-crushing terror. As soon as he answers, she is screaming for help. Yuna is in trouble and she needs him now. Those punks are back and harassing Yuna. You and I can see Dom's entire expression shift into something absolutely terrifying. His bodyguards can tell something is wrong. Before they can even react, Dom just grabs his bike and bolts like a lightning strike. Dom flies off at top speed, his face locked in pure, focused rage. Back at the scene, the bullies are demanding Dom's phone number. They tell Yuna she cannot protect her boyfriend forever and they will find him eventually, no matter what. Yuna tells them they have real issues. First, they start a fight. Now they are stalking them. She warns them to back off before she calls the police for harassment. One guy just laughs it off, giving her a sarcastic warning about what happens to people who call the cops. Mia is completely falling apart. She is not built for this kind of street drama and it shows on her face. Through her tears, Mia whispers to Yuna that she already called Dom and he is probably on his way. Yuna's heart stops. She knows Vinny is trouble, personified, and she does not want Dom walking into a trap like this. He is not a normal guy. Wherever Vinny goes, pure chaos is sure to follow. Looking at Vinny's eyes, he is thirsty for a fight. He clearly set this whole thing up to lure Dom out. Without meaning to, Mia just served Dom up to these bullies on a silver platter. Dom's bodyguards try to chase him after that suspicious call, but they get stuck at a red light while he disappears into the distance at an absolutely insane speed. Jordan is right there with them, probably wondering how his human can move that fast on 2 wheels without any help. Right then, Dom's father calls his men to find out what is going on. They tell him that Dom just snapped and pedaled towards school like his life depended on it. They have never seen him move so frantically. Dom hits an incredible speed, even losing his cap in the wind. As he pedals, his mind is racing with a million thoughts. He has to get there before those thugs hurt Yuna. He feels so guilty for not speaking to her all day and needs to move much faster. Past memories start flooding back now. He remembers when he looked completely different, though that signature mustache has always been part of his look. He was working security at a club when he saw a guy harassing a girl. Dom stepped in and told him to let her go, but the man refused to listen to him. That is when another young man approached and called out the rude guy. He warns him that his father would be furious about this behavior. The harasser immediately bows, apologizes profusely, and runs away with his tail tucked between his legs. The girl catches Dom's eye for a second, and their gazes lock in that moment. That was the first time they met. And trust me, you and I are about to see how it all circles back to Sunny School. Alright, you and I are about to dive into the story of a kid everyone thinks is a mob heir. While checking his phone, Yuna suddenly appears and asks if he is that same mustached guy from the club. That is the exact moment they realize they are stuck in the same class together. She rips into him, asking how he has the nerve to show up looking like a thug. Dom Kang snaps back, asking who gave her the right to boss him around. She just glares, super annoyed, until he stands up and asks her for a private word. Pulling her aside, he begs her not to tell a single soul about what happened yesterday. He explains that his fake mustache and that club job have to stay a complete secret. He asks her why she would even waste her energy talking trash about a stranger. Yuna fires back, saying if he is so scared, he should start acting like a normal student. Dom tells her to quit annoying him with this useless drama, thinking she has a massive attitude problem. He then watches as Mia and Yuna reunite. They start chatting right in front of him like he is invisible. He wishes he had just pretended not to know her. Why did he have to end up here? Some guys nearby are bragging about having 1 year left until college when they can finally party like animals. But as they pass Dom Kang, they shoot him dirty looks and start muttering some nasty insults. He tries to ignore them, but they call him back, demanding to know how a lowly freshman dares to stare at his seniors. Dom just keeps it real, saying he was looking ahead and they just happened to be there. These seniors aren't about to let a guy with such a rough appearance talk back to them. Now watch this. One guy warns him to stop acting like a smart mouth, but Dom does not blink. The guy lunges forward with a wild hook, but Dom moves like lightning and simply dodges it. Since he is already injured, one of them kicks his crutch, sending him crashing hard onto the ground. They start stomping on him, mocking him for acting tough. They walk away laughing, saying kids today have zero respect and warning him to stay in his lane for good. Dom Kang was caught off guard at first, but now things are about to change. He slowly picks his crutch up off the ground. While they are busy trash-talking, planning to put every freshman in their place, Dom suddenly appears right behind them. By the time they turn around, it is over. That crutch flies straight at his face, and that is how Dom Kang became the school's most violent disciplinarian. He drops them both instantly. Just then, Mia and her friend happen to walk by. They were just chatting, but then they see Dom Kang giving those boys a proper education. The troublemakers are wrecked. Yuna is completely stunned, watching him handle 2 older guys all by himself while leaning on a crutch. There he is, standing tall over the guys who tried to jump him, even with a broken foot. Next thing we know, he is in the principal's office getting chewed out for fighting third-year students. The principal tells the teachers to stop gossiping and get back to their rooms to keep an eye on students. He orders them to bury the story because he does not want the school's reputation ruined by this. The vice principal is losing it, mostly because the actual principal is currently away on business. He tells Dom that his parents are coming. Watch closely because things get wild. There is a sudden knock. The secretary enters, shaking, to announce that his father is here. The vice principal tells her to let them in. She tries to explain something, but they burst through the door before she can even finish. His father walks in with a full squad of bodyguards, mentioning how happy his son is at this school. Taking off his shades and looking absolutely terrifying, the father asks his son what he did this time. When he greets the vice principal, the poor guy practically shrivels up and tries to disappear. Dom knew he was in big trouble. He realized this situation was about to escalate even further. Later, as Dom walks through the halls totally fine, everyone wonders why he has not been expelled yet. After wrecking 2 seniors with his crutches, people start avoiding him while whispering behind his back. Dom is fed up with the rumors, so he finds a quiet, high-up spot to finally get some sleep. He is just starting to drift off when a voice tells him to wake up. You and I can't wait for the next part. Alright, you and I are about to see how a single kick starts the wildest redemption arc ever. Furious, he snaps, asking what miserable person just had the nerve to wake him up. Then he sees her, that nagging girl, Yuna. She asks if he has any clue how much time she wasted hunting him down all over the school campus today. Dom immediately fires back, asking why she's so desperate to find him. Turns out, the teacher sent her because she needs a word with him right now. Dom just lays back down, saying he'll go later. Teachers are a total headache, and he just wants to chill. He peeks with one eye to see if she's gone, but she's still right there, texting on her phone. She looks over, saying she actually pities him. How can a student dye his hair, work at clubs, and still bully upperclassmen? Why can't he just try being a decent student for once? Dom Kang wants to know why she keeps bothering him and testing his patience, but you and I need to watch closely. This talk changes everything. She asks what his big plans are for life after they graduate. Dom's confused. Why is she asking him something that serious right here of all places? Everyone has dreams, she says. Dom finally admits it. He actually has a real passion for music. Does he want to write songs, compose melodies, or be a singer? He admits he doesn't know exactly what his role will be yet. He just knows he wants music to be his entire career. She thinks that's way too vague given how many different paths there are to take. Music is the only thing that makes him feel calm, even at the club. He wants to create that feeling himself. Yuna suggests he study hard to get into a university and earn a proper degree. Dom wonders if college is actually required for music. She admits there's no law making it mandatory, but university is where you go to become a real specialist. Dom listens while lighting up a cigarette, but Yuna tells him absolutely not. He's forced to pull the tobacco right from his mouth. She tells him that whatever he does, he shouldn't smoke at school, especially here. Without even a high school diploma, she warns, society won't give him any value at all. Dom flips the question on her, but she admits she hasn't decided what she wants to do yet. She just studies constantly because she wants to work hard for her younger brother's future. Long-term goals? None. But when Dom asks about her brother, she suddenly goes silent. Clearly, it's a touchy subject. She stands up, says she's wasting time, and orders him to see the teacher. Dom grumbles that the only reason she wasted time was because she kept talking to him. Still, Yuna thinks it's great that he actually has a goal for himself. She says he has her full support. Then, one last time, she tells him to go see that teacher. You and I can see it, Yuna's support just flipped a switch inside his head. No one had ever offered to support him before. Suddenly, his desire to change feels as massive as a physical weight. It's like he finally has a purpose. The next morning at school, everyone is left in absolute shock by what they see. Everyone notices it immediately. Dom Kang looks like a completely different person today. He dyed his hair black and, instead of causing trouble, he's actually helping clean up. He even spots a kid making a mess with eraser shavings. He tells the boy to stop because he's trying to keep things clean. When the boy ignores him, Dom leans in, glaring at the drawing and the mess on the ground. He warns the kid that if those shavings hit the floor, he'll be picking up every last one. Dom hands him a correction pen instead, explaining that it keeps the classroom much cleaner for everyone. The startled kid agrees to use it. When Dom gets to the classroom, he finds Yuna busy cleaning all the window panes. He sees just how hard she's willing to work, and that's when he decides it's time to approach her. He grabs her hand with the cleaning cloth and tells her to step aside and let a real man handle the job. Yuna stares and asks why he's acting so strange, but his eccentric behavior is just frustrating the teachers and administrators even more. They scream for him to get down because it's dangerous. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see where this transformation leads, especially with him cleaning windows on an injured leg. Stick with me, let's see if Dom stays focused. He's obsessed with cleaning just to impress Yuna, who feels totally guilty for the whole mess. After class, the two of them walk home together. Yuna admits she's never met anyone as extreme as him. Dom's just exhausted from working so hard at the academy lately. She tells him to live a normal life and act naturally. He doesn't need to go to such extremes all the time. Right then, Dom's stomach lets out a huge growl. Yuna laughs and offers him a reward dinner for all his hard work. Dom just hears Yuna offering to take him out for a meal on her own dime. He's convinced it's a date. While he's busy daydreaming, Yuna's already walking off, asking him if he's coming along or not. Dom apologizes for spacing out and eagerly asks what's on the menu for their big night out. A guy slams into Dom roughly. Dom apologizes even though the other guy was clearly at fault. Now pay attention, these guys just picked the absolute wrong target. He demands compensation for his uniform, but they're clearly TJ's lackeys. Dom Kang asks why this is even his problem. Yuna quickly whispers a warning, telling him not to dare start a fight or she'll never speak to him again. She takes charge of the situation and tells the boy they'll pay for the dry cleaning. He isn't satisfied. He demands a new uniform for 300,000 won. Yuna tells the boy to give her his account number so she can send the money over immediately, but Dom stops her. He suggests that instead of cash, the lackey should take his pair of limited edition sneakers instead. He mentions how hard it was to get these from a famous rapper back then. Rare Jordan 6 Series, worn by Michael Jordan. In a men's size, these legendary shoes are worth way more than some quick cash. The guys wonder if they're fakes, but checking the pores and the quality of the leather, the stitching and logo look perfect. These things are the real deal, for sure. Yuna doesn't get the shoe hype, but the guys are totally intrigued by the offer and seem really satisfied with the deal. I know what you're thinking, is he really giving them up? Trust me, these sneakers are stylish enough to sell for big money online later. Yuna's relieved Dom handled the situation peacefully. Dom tells her he plans to graduate without causing more trouble. He's got even more reasons now to leave the clan behind. She's happy to hear that and promises to buy him whatever dinner he wants. Dom chooses chicken, but then he secretly grabs his phone to text his bodyguards about everything that happened. Upon hearing the news, Dom's bodyguards quickly move in on the boy with the shoes. The bullies are laughing about their win, joking about messing with more losers. However, around the corner stand Dom's massive bodyguards. The boys just freeze in pure terror. The guards demand the shoes back, warning them to comply. After the boys hand them over, some very loud commotion and noise follows. Shortly after, the boys are found tied to a tree by their heads, sobbing. As Dom pedals away, he realizes he technically just broke a long-time promise to Yuna. He pedals fast, zooming past Minu and Jay. Dom doesn't even notice them because he's in way too much of a rush. Trust me, we are just getting started.